Chapter 587. From time to time, people would fly to the small island from all directions. Moreover, the moment they appeared, they would be in group. In the savage, desolate, ancient lands, there were very few people who were alone. When encountering a group of people, even if you were slightly stronger than the strongest person, you would still be beaten to a pulp. If you were unlucky, you might even be killed. In the beginning, there were still some people who did not recognize the long life tree and tried to pick the fruit. The result was predictable, as they were all shot through by the red light from the tree one after another, disappearing into nothingness. Until someone recognized the tree, the situation gradually disappeared. It was indeed one of the top 3 sword masters, Tai Shirchong, who recognized the tree. He and a few others stood on the empty ground 100 meters away from the long life tree. He stared at the tree and said, "This long life tree already has its own intelligence, and its power is almost at the half-step beast king level. Even if we all work together, we would still be killed by it. Therefore, we can only wait for the fruits to ripen and fall from the tree before we can go and pick them up. According to past examples, when the fruits fall from the tree, the long life tree will not attack anyone who tries to get close to it. Of course, we cannot offend it either." The long life tree was the descendant of the undead tree. Although it was not like the undead tree, which had its own intelligence and battle power, it was still equivalent to Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. After hundreds of years, it would be able to reach the half-step Beast King level. Its power would be extremely powerful, and it would be able to kill Master Level warriors easily. Unfortunately, this long life tree has already grown up and has its own intelligence. If it was only a seedling, we could bring it back. I heard that if normal people stayed next to the tree, they would be able to live up to 200 years. If it was a martial artist, they would not only be immune to all kinds of poisons, but would also be able to train at an extremely fast speed. It is a great item for training. One of the twins said. The other one said, "Don't even think about it. Even if it does not have its own intelligence, we cannot touch it. This is the ancient place, which is half of the undead tree's territory. If you touch its descendant, I am sure you will not be able to get out of here alive. The roots of the undead tree have taken up almost half of the whole ancient place." A lot of people did not know that the legendary undead tree did exist, and it was one of the kings of the ancient place. This longevity fruit belongs to this old man. A black-clothed old man with a withered face walked out of the forest. His eyes were filled with greed. Tai Shirchong glanced at him. "I'm afraid you won't be able to. You must be Tai Shirchong, one of the top 3 young sword masters. You have the power, but you are still lacking. Go back and train for a few more years, then you will have a chance to defeat me." The elder in black did not care about Tai Shirchong at all. "That means you have the confidence to defeat me." Tai Shirchong's eyes were filled with killing intent. It seemed like the elder in black did not want to fight with Tai Shirchong right now, so he suggested, "There are too many people here, and there are a lot of people who want to take advantage of the situation. How about we chase them away first?" Hearing him, Tai Shirchong looked around and realized that there were more and more people surrounding the long life tree. From the dozens of people before, there were now dozens of people. If he allowed this to continue, he was not confident that he would be able to get enough long life fruit. However, what the elder in black said had convinced him. "Leave this to me." The elder in black did not care about Tai Shirchong as he jumped toward the 4 people closest to him. "If you don't want to die, then piss off. Otherwise, I will kill you all." However, no one knew who the elder was, so no one would listen to him. Seeing him jump toward them, the 4 of them spread out and attacked the elder together. "He dares to attack us? Kill him. We, the Yenbei 4 heroes, are not weak." The Yenbei 4 heroes were 4 heterosexual brothers. The leader of the 4 was a Master Level C of Soul's Realm warrior, while the other 3 were all top spirit warriors. The 4 of them might not be that powerful if they were alone, but after decades of teamwork, their power would increase exponentially. There were even a couple of master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors that had died in their hand. "You are the Yenbei forebears," the elder in black sneered as he threw out a claw attack. The sky was filled with black claw shadows, forming into a massive black beast. The beast roared and waved its front claw. "Bastard! Let's fight him!" The four of them did not expect the elder to be this powerful. Even with the four of them working together, they were still beaten back by one claw attack and were slightly wounded. "Form the King Kong spell," the leader of the four yelled. "Shoo!" The four of them moved and formed a prism. At the tip of the prism was the leader of the four heroes of the north of Yen Kingdom. The vital chi of the four of them flowed out of their bodies and joined together. They were one in another and complemented each other. In the end, they formed a golden Vajra with an angry face. Combined attack. A shocked expression flashed across the elder's face. "Die now." The elder in black had enough confidence in himself. He waved his hand, and the black beast roared as its huge body attacked the King Kong. "Piss off." The leader of the four of them reached out his right hand and threw out an attack. The King Kong that surrounded the four of them seemed to be one with him as it also reached out its right hand and threw out an attack. Boom! A thunder-like sound was heard as the black beast dissipated. However, the four of them were not having a good time either. They all puked out blood, and the King Kong disappeared as well. "This guy is too powerful. Let's back out." The four of them were not hot-headed people. Seeing that their combined attack could not do anything to the elder, they all ran back into the jungle. After 2 to 3 blinks of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. "We should have left earlier." The elder in black shook his head as he looked at Tai Shichong. Being one of the top 3 sword masters, Tai Shichong's sword art was indeed powerful. He did not even take out his great sword. Instead, he raised his right index and middle fingers and pointed out in the air. As he pointed out his sword, countless huge sword shadows shot out, destroying everything in their path. "Tai Shichong, don't push us too far." There were other young martial geniuses on the island, but they were still not Tai Shichong's opponent. Tai Shichong said coldly, "The treasure belongs to the powerful. You guys are not powerful enough, so you don't have the right to stay here. If you don't leave now, I will cut your heads off." "Alright, Duguju will remember this. One day, my cousin, Duguju, will come and find you." The leader of the group was actually the cousin of one of the top 2 martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. "Duguju," Tai Shichong sneered, "even if he comes it will be useless. But, since you have brought out the Duguju, I will have to leave some marks for you no matter what." Duguju had just reached the Sea of Souls realm 1 year ago, so Tai Shichong was not scared of him at all. Martial geniuses needed time to grow. Without time, he would only be a martial genius with potential. "Shoo!" Pointing out his sword finger, a sharp sword chi sliced through Duguju's chest. Duguju's face went pale as blood spilled out of his chest. "Tai Shichong, you are so arrogant. Just wait and see." Enduring the pain, Duguju left the island with a group of young martial geniuses, leaving behind a warning. "This Duguju is so reckless. He used his cousin to scare us. Does he really think that we are that easy to scare?" The twin brothers walked next to Tai Shichong. Tai Shichong said, "Duguju is a very scary person. With enough time, it is not impossible for him to reach the level of the top 5 young warriors. Therefore, I have to get the longevity fruit even more. With it, I have 80% chance of reaching the late Sea of Souls realm." Among the young warriors in the Sky Martial region, there were not many warriors who had reached the late Sea of Souls realm. Even the top 5 young warriors were not all at the late Sea of Souls realm. Of course, martial geniuses all had the power to battle beyond their realms. Even if their cultivation was slightly lower, their power would still be very scary. In the end, besides Tai Shichong and the Elder in Black, there was still a group of people around the longevity tree. They were the ones who had been here for a long time, and were also the ones who had found the tree first. Tian Inso, Tai Shichong, you two do indeed have the right to get the longevity fruit. But, if you want me to leave, I am afraid that it will be impossible. A group of people walked out of the dense forest. The leader was a middle-aged man with disheveled hair. His eyes were as sharp as blades. He held a thick bronze rod in his hand. The people behind him were also not ordinary people. Each of them had a powerful aura. Their bodies were huge, as if they were human-shaped ferocious beasts. You know me. The elder in black changed his expression. He had not been out in the world for dozens of years already, so not many people knew him. Unfortunately, I have seen a picture of you decades ago. But it was a wanted poster. After all these years, you have not changed at all. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, the change in appearance would not be that obvious. Decades would only be like decades or 7 to 8 years, so it would not change that fast. I did not expect you to have such a good memory. Tian Inso chuckled. Decades ago, he was wanted by a rank 5 martial institution. That was why he had chosen to stay away from the public. But, good memory does not mean good power. Shoo! Tian Inso crossed both of his claws, forming a huge net. Break! The bulky middle-aged man did not dodge at all as he waved out his stick. Pap! 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 The dark purple claw light was shattered completely. Impressive. Take another attack from me. Tian Inso had only used 80% of his power. Just as he was about to attack again, he suddenly sensed a sky-piercing sound coming from afar. Someone else is coming. In the sky, a massive silver ship flew over, its speed reaching 8 times the speed of sound. Yen Feng Feng. Tai Shichong frowned. The silver ship soon arrived on top of the island. It is the long life tree. Yen Feng Feng recognized the tree in the middle of the island immediately. It is indeed the long life tree. Yi Chen had seen the lady in red take out the long life tree branch back at the Treasure River Island. It looked like it was made out of white jade, smooth without any flaws. This long life tree was snow white as well, except for the fruit which was red in color, looking very eye-catching. It seems like we are quite lucky. Hai Wuya laughed. Let's go. Although the 5 of them were a bit scared of Tai Shichong, it was only that. When they encountered a real treasure, they would have to rely on their own power. It would be impossible for them to back out. The flying ship landed quickly. When it was dozens of meters away from the ground, the 5 jumped off and stood 100 meters away from the long life tree. Guan Qin was just about to take a few steps forward when she was pulled back by Hai Wuya. Do not get too close. Before the fruit falls, the long life tree will attack actively. Once it bears fruit, it means that it has accumulated enough power, and its power is unpredictable. Chapter 588. The longevity tree was very mysterious. Every time it bore fruit, it meant that it had accumulated enough and made a huge breakthrough. The further it went, the better the effects of the longevity fruit. If the awakening of sentience was the first result, then this was the second. On the longevity tree, the red longevity fruit silently turned fiery red. When it completely turned fiery red, it would be ripe. However, the 4 groups of people nearby did not look at the longevity fruit that was about to ripen. Instead, they looked at each other, and the atmosphere was tense. There are 4 groups of people here. I think we should split the fruit into 4 portions, 1 for each group. What do you think? Before, Tian Inso still wanted to kick out the middle-aged man and his group, so that he could share the fruit with Tai Shichong. But now, he did not have that idea anymore. No matter which group he took on, he would be opposed by the other group. After all, no one knew if it would be his turn or not. Even Tian Inso himself was a bit worried. Therefore, he came up with this idea of splitting the fruit into 4 portions. The middle-aged man sneered. 4 portions? Your idea is not bad. But, don't forget that you are only one person. You want to share the fruit with only one person? Do you think we are stupid? You are right. You alone do not have the right to share the fruit. Hai Wuya did not hold back either. The value of the fruit was immeasurable, and one less person would definitely be a good thing. After all, there were too many people here, and there were 5 of them. Tian Yinsu's face darkened. It seems like after decades of not coming out, some people do not care about me anymore. I was already a Master-level Sea of Souls Realm Master-level warrior decades ago. At that time, you brats were not even born yet. Since you say that I do not have a share, then we will use our own methods. He did not even think that after decades of not coming out, how many people still knew him. Even if they did, they might not be afraid of him. Use your own methods, I agree. Tai Shichong sounded cold. He did not want to share the fruit with the others in the first place. One fruit could help a warrior reach mid-Sea of Souls realm from peak level early Sea of Souls realm, and the success rate was at least 80 to 90%. But, to reach late Sea of Souls realm from peak level mid-Sea of Souls realm, one fruit would only have 30% success rate. At least 2 or 3 fruits would be enough. I am fine with it. Yen Fengfeng had the advantage of speed. As long as nothing went wrong, she would be the one to get the most fruit. Then let's rely on our own skills. The muscular middle-aged man knew that this was the only solution. Just like that, everyone was temporarily at peace. Their gazes fell on the longevity tree, waiting for the longevity fruits to ripen and fall from the branches. One longevity fruit has more than 80% chance of me reaching the mid-Sea of Souls realm from peak level early Sea of Souls realm. If I miss this one, it would take me at least a year or 2 of training to reach the mid-Sea of Souls realm. Therefore, I have to get one this time. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, every little bit of increase in cultivation would be extremely difficult. Yi Chen's cultivation talent was not the best. It could only be said to be excellent. Being able to reach the Sea of Souls realm so quickly was mainly due to all kinds of opportunities, as well as his soul talent. If he could get a longevity fruit and successfully reach mid-Sea of Souls realm, Yi Chen would be able to use the Earth Spirit Pellets and Sky Spirit Pellets to push his cultivation to the next level, reaching peak level mid-Sea of Souls realm. In that case, his overall power would increase by more than just a little bit, and it would definitely increase his battling power drastically. I can't let go of the longevity fruit. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen's eyes turned sharp. There were dozens of longevity fruits on the tree, and more than half of them were still light red, which meant that they were still far from ripening. Among the remaining half, 3 of them were turning red, which meant that they were only 1 step away from ripening. And among these 3, one of them was already shaking, looking like it could fall at any second. Pap! Finally, that longevity fruit fell onto the ground and rolled a couple of times. Strangely, no one moved at all, seeming to be hesitating. Tian Yinsu, didn't you want the longevity fruit? Go and get it. The muscular middle-aged man laughed at Tian Yinsu. Tian Yinsu sneered. I will let you have the first one. Go and get it. You are so kind? You are being kind. On the other side, Tai Shichong looked at the longevity fruit that had fallen onto the ground. A light flashed in his eyes before he calmed down. It seems like no one dares to take this risk. One of the twin brothers said. Who dares to take the risk? If the longevity tree still attacks those who get close to it, then they will die for sure. For a longevity fruit, no one would want to put themselves in such a dangerous situation. Right now, all we need is a test. As long as someone goes to pick up the longevity fruit and is not attacked by the tree, then it means that there is no danger. That is true, but are we just going to wait like this? On Yi Chen's side, Hai Wuya frowned. The second longevity fruit is about to ripen as well. Unfortunately, no one wants to be the first to go. Yi Chen said, even if there is no danger, it might not be a good thing. He will become the target of everyone. Yi Chen is right. The first longevity fruit is very dangerous. Yen Fengfeng nodded. Time passed slowly and still no one went up first. It seemed like everyone was waiting. Shriek. All of a sudden, A sharp bird cry was heard from above the forest. A massive gray eagle flew over, its target being the longevity fruit under the tree. Shoo! The gray eagle was extremely fast and arrived under the tree within a second. Its claws grabbed onto the longevity fruit that had fallen onto the ground before shooting into the sky and flying away. Come down! Without any prior agreement, everyone attacked Gray Eagle together. A scream was heard. The Gray Eagle was torn into pieces, and the longevity fruit fell from the sky. Everyone controlled the angle on purpose, trying to minimize the impact. Plus, the longevity fruit itself was very tough, containing a powerful energy that could block out the impact. Shoo! 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 All of a sudden, 4 people moved. They were Yen Fengfeng, Tai Shichong, Tian Yinso, and the bulky middle-aged man. The 4 of them were the most powerful ones in the group. Since there was no danger in fighting for the first longevity fruit, they could fight as much as they wanted. Among them, Yen Fengfeng's speed was the fastest. With a flash of blue fire, she had arrived near the longevity fruit, reaching out her hand to suck it. Heaven and Earth Sword. Tai Shichong pointed out his sword finger, and a sword shadow blocked out in front of Yen Fengfeng, cutting off the sucking power. Meanwhile, his body flashed a couple of times, arriving near the longevity fruit as well. Phoenix Cut. Yen Fengfeng lifted up her right hand, forming a palm blade and attacking toward Tai Shichong. Dang! Tai Shichong took out the longsword from his waist, blocking out Yen Fengfeng's flame blade power. You guys stop fighting. This longevity fruit will belong to me for sure. Tian Yinsu's body flashed once, and dozens of black shadows appeared, attacking toward the longevity fruit together. Piss off! The bulky middle-aged man was the slowest, but it was not impossible for him to get the longevity fruit, since there were 4 of them fighting against each other. He yelled as he lifted his bronze iron stick high into the air, waving it out horizontally, blowing out half of Tian Yinsu's shadows. The longevity fruit was still falling down at a fast speed, but the 4's battling speed was even faster. Within a blink of an eye, the 4 of them had exchanged attacks once. Human and sword merge. Tai Shichong's longsword shook once, and a massive sword light wrapped around him as he flew toward the longevity fruit at a shocking speed. Boom! Boom! Tian Yinso and the bulky middle-aged man would not just watch Tai Shichong get the longevity fruit, so they both threw out attacks, trying to shatter the sword light around Tai Shichong's body. But this sword light was extremely tough. Although it was full of cracks, it did not break at all, canceling out the 2's combined attack. Major Phoenix Cut. At that critical moment, Yen Fengfeng threw out another palm blade attack. Behind her back, a blue phoenix shadow appeared. It was the shadow of her real body. Crack! The sword light was shattered, and Tai Shichong was furious. He was not that far away from the longevity fruit, and with the human and sword merge, his speed and defense had both increased drastically. But there were still 4 of them fighting for the longevity fruit, and he alone would not be able to handle the attacks from the 3 of them. This battle sure is intense. Ling Tianhao was dumbfounded. Guan Qin glanced at the second fruit that was about to ripen and said, "This one is about to ripen as well. I will use my movement art to get it as soon as possible." Guan Qin was very confident in her Qinggong Sky Sea streak. Hai Wuya laughed. "Junior sister, although your Sky Sea first string is powerful, they won't just stand by and watch as you snatch away the second longevity fruit. Furthermore, at this time, our camp needs to agree on a rule. Whoever gets the longevity fruit first, the other 3 will help him block the attacks from the others." "Yeah, of course." Yi Chen nodded. "The second longevity fruit is about to ripen. It is about to ripen. So nervous." The people brought by Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man stared at the second fruit that was about to ripen. If it were not for the fact that the tree would attack anyone who got close to it before the fruit fell, they would have rushed up already, instead of waiting here for nothing. Under everyone's gaze, the second longevity fruit fell down. Shoo! 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 No one could describe the current situation. The longevity fruit was only dozens of meters away from the ground, and it had just fallen down from the tree when everyone started to move. It was like thousands of arrows shooting out at the same time. Shoo! 5 beams of sword light appeared out of his body as Yi Chen's speed increased to his limit. His starting speed was already 20 times faster than the speed of sound. Normally, the starting speed would be way lower than the maximum speed. The reason why Yi Chen could be this fast was because his sword light flying art had improved a while ago. His maximum speed had reached 25 times faster than the speed of sound. Added with his extremely powerful Zhen Yuan control, which had already reached the Zhen Yuan strand level, his starting speed was even faster than normal people's. So fast. Hai Wuya and the other two were shocked. With a flash of sword light, Yi Chen arrived under the longevity tree. Little brat, die. If you dare to touch the longevity fruit, you will die without a grave. Right then, Tai Shichong's people and the bulky middle-aged man's people all attacked toward Yi Chen. They were all grinding their teeth, wishing they could cut Yi Chen into 1,000 pieces. You want me to put down the longevity fruit? In your dreams. A determined look flashed through his eyes as Yi Chen grabbed the longevity fruit without hesitation and threw it into his storage ring. But he had also taken on 7 to 8 attacks and was drowned in that horrifying qi flow. So reckless. Hai Wuya shook his head. Chapter 589. It was not that Hai Wuya did not want to help Yi Chen block out the attacks, but Yi Chen's speed was way too fast, and he had been left behind. Plus, he had thought that it would be a big fight for the second fruit, and if one of them managed to get the fruit, the others would have to help him block out the attacks. But right now, Yi Chen had gotten the fruit at an extremely fast speed, and within that second, at least 7 to 8 attacks had landed on Yi Chen. There was no way he could react in time. Boom, 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 boom. Yi Chen's protective Zhen Yuan layer had been shattered within a second, and 7 to 8 powerful qi streams had blown him out for hundreds of meters, crushing him all the way into the jungle. That aggressive qi flow had torn down all the trees in a straight line and sent them into the sky, making another piece of flat land on the island. Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin were both shocked. Yi Chen is not going to die, is he? They thought that it would be impossible for them to survive under those attacks. It will depend on his luck. But I don't think he will die. He is not someone who would do something crazy for a treasure. At first, Hai Wuya indeed thought that Yi Chen would do something crazy. But after thinking about it, Yi Chen was able to grow from a small martial institution's martial genius to where he was now, so he would not be an impulsive person. He should have a certain level of confidence. As he spoke, Hai Wuya's speed had finally reached its limit, flying towards Yi Chen's direction. After all, it was Yi Chen who had gotten the fruit this time. Based on what they had said before, they had to help Yi Chen fight against Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man. On the flat land in the jungle, after the dust had settled, Yi Chen's body appeared in Hai Wuya's sight. At this moment, Yi Chen was in an extremely bad shape. His clothes had almost been torn apart, revealing the golden armor that was shining with a golden luster. In his hands, he was holding 2 shields, one covering his head and the other covering his lower body. Adding the great armor on his body, he had protected himself without leaving a single gap. Pooh! With a pale face, Yi Chen spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with pieces of his internal organs. There were 7 attacks in total, 4 of which were Sea of Soul Master level, and the other 3 were Peak Taoist level. With my defense, it would be hard for me to block one of them, not to mention 7. Fortunately, the 2 shields and the gold armor helped me block out most of the attacks, so only 30% of them reached my body. Otherwise, I would have died for sure. Although Yi Chen had already anticipated such a situation, there was still a great deal of danger involved. A slight carelessness or an accident would result in a tragic death. Yi Chen, are you all right? Seeing that Yi Chen could still vomit blood, Hai Wuya heaved a sigh of relief. I won't die yet. Before the fight for the longevity fruit, Yi Chen had consumed 2 elixirs to replenish his essence. Now that Yi Chen had activated his undying body and healed his severe internal injuries, the medicinal essence of the elixirs immediately dissolved and replenished his rapidly depleted essence. You are so powerful! You are the first one to get the longevity fruit. Guan Qin's speed was even faster than Hai Wuya's. But her reaction speed was obviously not as fast as Hai Wuya's. Therefore, she was delayed for a second, which allowed Hai Wuya to overtake her. Ling Tianhao was the last one to arrive. He said with admiration, Sister Yen and the rest are still fighting for the first fruit. They would never have thought that you would get one before them. Indeed, no one would have thought that Yi Chen would be the first one to get the fruit with his speed that was way faster than the rest. It was supposed to be a messy battle for the second fruit, just like what happened to Yen Fengfeng and the other 3. But the situation right now was something that no one had expected. Yi Chen chuckled. If he did not get the fruit right away, he might not even get one today. But of course, there was still a chance that he might get one, since it would all depend on his luck. Compared to the others, he did not have that much of an advantage in terms of battling power. What? This brat has been attacked by 7 to 8 times and he is still alive? He is even able to talk. The people who were attacking Yi Chen frowned. They had prepared themselves for the moment that Yi Chen died, they would immediately take his storage ring. But it was obvious that the situation was not going their way. Damn! This is a longevity fruit. It has a huge chance of increasing one's cultivation. The twin brothers were not willing to give up. They stood dozens of meters away, staring at Yi Chen with an evil look in their eyes. Brat, the fruit belongs to the one with power. Hand it over now and we will let you live. It was the middle-aged man who was standing right next to the bulky one. His face was covered in black hair. Yeah, hand over the fruit and we will let you live. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. Another person agreed. Putting away his shield, Yi Chen sneered. The one with power will get it. Since you guys have the power, why can't you get it? Huh. You are just a bit faster. If we really have to fight, you are not powerful enough. They could all tell that Yi Chen was only at peak level early sea of Soul's realm. Although they were a bit scared, they did not think that Yi Chen's power could be that powerful. Sorry, once it is in my hands, no one can make me spit it out. It would be impossible for Yi Chen to give up on the fruit. These people were right. The treasure belonged to the one with power. With the fruit, his power would be able to reach the next level. No, it would be 2 to 3 levels higher. You want to do this the hard way? Spit it out. The bulky middle-aged man stomped on the ground with his right foot. His body suddenly expanded, turning from 2 meters tall to 4 meters tall. He looked like a giant. His arms were as thick as other people's waists, and the blue veins on them looked like snakes. Once his body expanded to a horrifying size, the bulky man jumped out like a tiger in the forest, bringing up a wave of bloody wind. Body enlargement. Barbarian! Hai Wuya realized as he yelled, I have never fought against a barbarian before. Today I will try. Boom. The two rushed at each other within the blink of an eye, fighting fiercely. Yi Chen, we can only help you take on these two. The rest is up to you. Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin blocked the 2 people who were with the bulky middle-aged man. Yi Chen said, Thank you. He was already satisfied with 1 fruit. If there were more, he would not take any of them. He would fight for more opportunities for Hai Wuya and the rest. You 2 stay here and keep an eye on the 3rd fruit. Leave him to us. The twins were very ambitious. They wanted the fruit on Yi Chen as well as the fruits on the tree. They would not let any of them go. As they spoke, the 2 approached Yi Chen side by side, staring at him. Yi Chen sneered as he held the Thunder Disaster sword with his right hand. Kill! The twins attacked toward Yi Chen from the left and right. brat, we are the famous wind and thunder martial schools. If you know what is good for you, hand over the fruit. Otherwise, you will lose your life. The wind and thunder martial schools were very famous in the sky martial region. The two brothers were both master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. The older brother was called Li Feng, and the younger brother was called Li Lei. Individually, they might not be as powerful as Hai Wuya, but together, not many people would be able to take them on. It was mainly because the two brothers could communicate with each other mentally and make up for each other's weaknesses. Cut the crap. If you want the fruit, then use your power. If the two brothers were one person, Yi Chen might be afraid. But since there were two of them, he would have a chance. He was best at battling techniques, so he would definitely have a way to stop them from working together. As long as he could find the key, he would be able to take them out one by one. Since you are looking for death, then do not blame us. Wind Fist. The older brother threw out a fist attack, bringing up a tornado. The fist's speed was unbelievably fast and aggressive. Thunder God Kick. The younger brother immediately followed up with a kick, aiming at Yi Chen's lower body. This kick was not any slower than Li Feng's Wind Fist, and contained the profound of thunder. One punch and one kick, the coordination was flawless. I can't fight them head-on. With my power alone, I can't defend against their combined attack. I have to fight one of them to prevent them from working together. As this thought flashed through his mind, Yi Chen took a step forward. His body suddenly turned illusory, turning into a faint black shadow as he avoided Li Feng's Wind Fist and moved in an arc toward Li Lei. Want to interrupt our cooperation? In your dreams. Li Feng sneered and turned his body, bringing up a fierce tornado as he charged toward Yi Chen. Meanwhile, Li Lei's attacks did not stop, filling the sky with thunder and lightning footprints. As long as Yi Chen dared to come closer, he would be sure to turn him into charred pieces. Swoosh! Yi Chen suddenly stopped. As if he was stepping on a sword light, he gave up on Li Lei and flew toward Li Feng. His figure flickered like a sword light. Courting death. Li Feng was slightly surprised. Only now did he realize that Yi Chen's target wasn't Li Lei, but him. However, he wasn't afraid at all as he continued to throw out fist shadows in the tornado. Earth-shattering sky. How could Yi Chen not know that this kind of small trick would not work on the two brothers who were connected to each other? His real target was still Li Lei. He rubbed his right foot on the ground, and a wave of hidden power followed the ground and drilled into Li Lei's foot. It suddenly exploded, sending rocks flying everywhere. Although Li Lei wasn't hurt, his attacks were halted for a moment. This pause gave Yi Chen a chance. Shadow explosion. Bam! Yi Chen's body shook, turning into dozens of black shadows. Li Lei's leg shadows and Li Feng's fist shadows destroyed most of them, but Yi Chen's real body followed the gap between Li Lei's kick shadows and slashed out a crescent-shaped sword chi. Li Lei let out a furious roar as he took out a shield to block the sword chi. Speed Sword Hell. Yi Chen's attacks were like mercury spilling on the ground, continuous and unstoppable. The sword shadows were so fast that one couldn't even see them clearly as they shot out, devouring Li Lei. Ting! Ting! Metal exploding sounds were heard as Li Lei waved his shield to block out all of the sword shadows. Back out! After the speed sword hell came the gold resonant radiance sword. The golden sword light violently slashed on Li Lei's shield, blowing him dozens of meters away. Yi Chen held his thunder disaster sword and continued to crush his opponent while maintaining a distance from Li Feng. Bastard! Li Lei fought back, but Li Feng had also caught up. Yi Chen smiled coldly as his body turned into a shadow, sticking close to Li Lei. Li Feng was afraid of accidentally injuring Li Lei, so he couldn't use all of his strength at the moment. Chapter 590. Little bastard, you are too dirty. If you have the guts, then let's fight fair and square. Li Feng threw out a couple of punches, but all of them landed on Li Lei. Yi Chen's step art was just too weird, and he managed to use Li Lei as a shield every time. It made Li Feng grind his teeth as he said aggressively. Li Feng's words had shown Yi Chen the true meaning of shamelessness. Fair and square? How dare you say that? 2 against 1, and you still think that the advantage is not enough? What a sharp tongue. Later on, you will not even be able to cry even if you want to. Li Feng was annoyed. Brother, I have already figured out this brat's power. I alone will be enough to take on him. Even if I cannot, I can still drain his Zhen Yuan and mental state. Once his battling power is weakened, you can join in then. Li Lei and Yi Chen had exchanged dozens of attacks, and he realized that Yi Chen only had a powerful step art and a sharp sword art. Other than that, he did not have any other advantages. All right, I will be on the side to support you. Li Feng thought about it and agreed. Both he and his brother were not weak. As long as they did not run into people like Yan Feng and Tai Shichong, it would not be a problem for them to exchange 1 to 200 attack. Plus, even if he joined in, it would be pointless. Brat, just wait for your death. Even if you hand over the fruit now, I will not let you go. Leaving behind a threat, Li Feng backed out 100 steps. Hearing him, a strange cold light flashed through Yi Chen's eyes. Indeed, he did not have much of an advantage in other areas, but he still had his double sword art. The completed Sky Thunder Cut's power was not as powerful as the Gold Resonant Radiance sword art, but combined with the Reverse Sky Thunder Cut, its power would definitely be more powerful than the latter. It was almost equivalent to a 70% trained mid-rank Profound Sense sword art. Combined with his powerful sword intent, its attacking power would be unstoppable. However, he would have to wait for a chance, waiting for the moment when Li Lei let his guard down so that he could wound him badly. As for killing him, it might not be possible, since the power gap between the two was not that big. Of course, if he summoned the Dream-Eating Wolf, he might be able to kill him. But the Dream-Eating Wolf was Yi Chen's ace card, and he would not let it out until the last moment. Ding ding dang dang. Li Lei held the shield in his hand to protect his body. His feet weren't slow either as he repeatedly kicked out Thunder Lightning Leg shadows that contained the Profound of Thunder. The Thunder Lightning Leg shadows were powerful and heavy. Although the attack frequency wasn't as high as Li Feng's Fierce Wind Fist, its power was much greater. Even Yi Chen was willing to take a kick from it. Void Shattering Finger. Facing the Thunder and Lightning Leg shadows, Yi Chen leaped up from the ground and pointed out his left hand. It was the third movement of the Void Shattering Finger art, the Void Shattering Finger. Pup! The massive cyan finger carried the Space Intent domain. It had touched the edge of Space Power Upanishad. After a flash, it had opened a tunnel in the sky of leg shadows. While it was getting deeper, the cyan finger was taking in the energy of the lightning leg shadows. It was really strange. What kind of finger technique is this? Could it be the profound meaning of darkness? No, the aura of the profound meaning of darkness is not like this. Although Li Lei was experienced and knowledgeable, he couldn't figure out what power Upanishad Yi Chen was using. Li Feng, who was 100 steps away, was shocked. Finger shape, taking in the opponent's power. Could this be Xia Hozuan's Void Shattering Finger art? Why does he have it as well? Xia Hozuan was one of the top 5 young warriors. He was known for his finger arts, which was why he was called the Godly Finger Master. Xia Hozuan was good at a lot of finger arts, but in one of the battles, he had once revealed a horrifying and strange finger art. It was just like Yi Chen's finger art, able to take in the opponent's power and increase its attacking power. Of course, because of the different Zhen Yuan attributes, the colors would be different. Plus, the form of Xia Hozuan's Void Shattering Finger was slightly different from Yi Chen's as well. However, that aura was exactly the same. It must be the Void Shattering Finger art. Li Feng's eyes flickered. Amaranthan nature. Opening up a tunnel with one finger attack, Yi Chen jumped into it. The Thunder Disaster Sword was like a beam of lightning, stabbing toward Li Lei who was at the end of the tunnel. Shoo! The sword's speed kept increasing until Li Lei could no longer sense the existence of the sword. Piss off! With a roar, Li Lei leaned his body to the side. His left leg was like a lightning whip as it lashed out while holding up his shield in front of his body. Since he could not avoid that sword attack from Yi Chen, then he would not try to avoid it. He leaned his body to the side, avoiding the critical parts of his body. Plus, with the shield to protect him, his left leg kicked toward Yi Chen's waist. He believed that as long as he was hit by that kick, even if Yi Chen's spine did not break, it would at least have a crack, and he would definitely be wounded more severely than him. Pooh! Yi Chen's sword attack was even faster than Li Lei's shield movement. It brushed past the edge of the shield and pierced through Li Lei's left shoulder. Right at that moment, he shifted his body to the side and took out his Thunder Disaster sword. With a flash, he dodged Li Lei's kick attack. It should be known that even in the mental world of the Sky Martial Pavilion, Yi Chen was able to face 64 mental entities with similar cultivation and will power without being hurt at all. How could he not dodge Li Lei's attack? In other words, Li Lei's idea of exchanging injuries for injuries was just a fool's dream. Brat, you have pissed me off. I will make sure you die without a grave. Blood splashed out from his shoulder like a fountain. Li Lei's face was twisted as a bright thunder appeared on his body. The thunder was like a snake, flickering continuously. Every time it landed on the ground, it would be scorched black and cracked. The mud would crystallize, and the air would be filled with space ripples. It seems like he is going to use his ace attack. Yi Chen and Li Lei maintained a suitable distance, which would not be too close to Li Lei, and would not be caught by Li Feng's sneak attack. Pap! A thick beam of lightning flashed past above Li Lei's head. As the lightning flashed past, Li Lei had already disappeared, as if the lightning had taken him away. But Yi Chen knew that it was just an illusion created by the opponent's fast speed. He was approaching at an extreme speed, and his whole body seemed to have merged with the lightning. Die! Thunder God descends. In the sky above Yi Chen, Li Lei appeared and threw out a kick. The second his right leg landed, Yi Chen seemed to see a thunder shadow behind Li Lei's back. It was different from the demi-beast's bloodline shadow, and also different from Yan Fengfeng's real body shadow. It was a kind of chi field shadow, which meant that the power of this attack had already reached an extremely horrifying level. Crack! That kick was like a god of thunder descending from the sky. Yeah. Li Lei is fighting against Yi Chen with brute force. On the other side, Yan Fengfeng and the other three had already finished their battle. In the end, the one who got the fruit was still Yan Fengfeng, who was the fastest. After all, when there were a lot of people, the advantage of speed was irreplaceable, especially when the four of them were at the same power level. Yi Chen was already prepared for the counterattack. He held the Thunder Disaster sword in his right hand while holding the gold sword in his left hand. The two swords crossed and attacked upward. At the point where the two swords met, a perfect thunderball was born and expanded rapidly. When it reached 1 meter in size, it clashed with the leg's shadow that was filled with thunder light. Rumble! The two of them were both using the profound laws of lightning. When the profound laws of lightning clashed against the profound laws of lightning, the resulting destructive power was astonishing. The sky immediately darkened, and thick bolts of lightning struck everywhere. The surroundings of the two of them had turned into a world of lightning. Dragon-like lightning bolts swam everywhere, and there were even lightning bolts underground. The area within a radius of several thousand meters had turned into a scorched land. Only the area within a radius of 100 meters around the longevity tree was not invaded by any lightning. It was as if an invisible power had isolated it from the longevity tree. How is this possible? Li Lei shockingly realized that his Thunder Profound attack could not compete with Yi Chen's. His powerful chi field had absorbed a huge amount of thunder and lightning and attacked back at him. This attack of his is a mid-rank profound sense martial art, but it should only be 70 to 80% trained. Judging purely on power, It should be a bit more powerful than my double sword style combined. Moreover, his cultivation is one realm higher than mine as well, at peak level mid-sea of Soul's realm. But my sword intent has made up for all of the disadvantages, and it has given me quite an advantage. The sword intent could make the attacks more condensed, and the thunder power was also one of the attack. With the amplification of the sword intent, its power would naturally be more powerful than Li Lei's. Break. Using both of his arms, the two swords in Yi Chen's hands rubbed against each other and created electricity, slicing out to the sides. The explosive attack had broken through Li Lei's defense immediately. Stop! Seeing that Li Lei was about to be wounded badly, Tai Shicheng's brows turned cold. He shook his long sword and a circular sword chi shot out, tearing apart the sky. Major Phoenix cut. Yan Fengfeng would not let Tai Shicheng stop Yi Chen, so she threw out a fire palm blade to block out the sword chi. Yan Fengfeng, you! Tai Shicheng stared at Yan Fengfeng angrily. Swoosh! The winner between Yi Chen and Li Lei had finally been decided. Li Lei's whole body had been blown into the sky by Yi Chen, leaving a crisscrossed sword mark on his chest. It was so deep that the bones could be seen. The powerful sword chi had already invaded his body, destroying everything. In other words, his battling power had been reduced by 80%, and he was no longer a threat. I told you to stop. Tai Shicheng stared at Yi Chen without blinking. Do you think I will stop just because you told me to? Yi Chen took a deep breath and looked at Tai Shicheng. Li Lei. The battle was way too intense, and Li Feng could not get involved at all. Only now did he yell out and fly into the sky to hold the wounded Li Lei. Take revenge for me. Li Lei had not only been attacked by Yi Chen, but he had also been attacked by the thunder power and fainted immediately. Yi Chen, how dare you hurt my brother? Landing on the ground with Li Lei in his arms, Li Feng looked extremely evil. Yi Chen ignored him. Without Li Lei, Li Feng would not be his rightful opponent. If he really wanted to take revenge, he would not mind letting the two brothers go back lying on the ground. The longevity fruit is ripe. Right then, the third longevity fruit had finally ripened and fell from the tree. The other three who were battling with Hai Wuya and Ling Tianhao heard that the fruit was ripe, so they gave up immediately and ran toward the tree. Hai Wuya was about to make his move when Yan Fengfeng stopped him. She shook her head and said, 3 longevity fruits, and we have already gotten 2. If the third one falls into our hands, we will be the target of everyone. Let's not fight for this one. Let them fight for it. You are right. Hai Wuya nodded, smiling as he watched the others fight for the fruit. Chapter 591. On the whole tree there were 3 fruits that ripened in a short period of time. The first one was taken by Yan Fengfeng after a long battle, and the second one was taken by Yi Chen. If he could not get the third one, it would take at least half an hour for the fourth one to ripen. Who knew what would happen in that time? Therefore, if he could get one earlier, he would try his best to get it earlier. With one fruit, his mentality would change as well. Tai Shicheng is about to go crazy. Hai Wuya leaned against a huge tree, watching with great interest. Indeed, it is time to go crazy. Yi Chen had gotten a fruit, so he was in a great mood. Next, he would only try to help Hai Wuya and the rest would have nothing to do with him. Boom! Tai Shicheng's personal battling power was indeed shocking. Without the help of the Wind and Thunder Masters, his sword intent had become even sharper. The long sword in his hand was like the sword of nature. Even though he did not manage to stab his opponent, the extended sword shadow could still pierce through his opponent's protective Jin Yuan. If it were not for the chaos and the presence of powerful warriors like Tian Yinso and the bulky middle-aged man, he would have been killed already. The bulky middle-aged man exchanged an attack with Tai Shicheng, but he could not stand it anymore and backed out dozens of steps. Such a powerful sword power! The middle-aged man looked serious. He was a barbarian, and not only did he train his Jin Yuan, he trained his body as well. His power was no less than 200,000 pounds, and in a head-on clash, there would be very few master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors who could push him back. Tai Shi was not a body-training warrior himself, but his sword art was extremely powerful. He was able to turn the sky and earth into his sword. Under that sword attack, it felt like the sky was pressing down on him, forcing him to back out. But it is impossible for me to give up on the fruit. The middle-aged man roared and rushed up again. The bronze iron stick in his hand was waved in the air, covering the whole sky with stick shadows. Mountain sword. Knowing that he had to use his ace attack, Tai Shi sneered as he waved out a sword attack. Boom! The mountain-like sword shadow contained the profound of the earth, which blew away Tian Yin-so and the middle-aged man. Shoo! His palm sucked, and Tai Shi got the third fruit. Damn it, put down the longevity fruit. Tian Yin-so looked extremely gloomy. He had been famous for decades, and during these decades, he had never stopped training. His power had increased by a whole level, and he was now at the peak level of late Sea of Souls realm. Theoretically speaking, he did not need the longevity fruit to increase his cultivation. However, the fruit was not only able to increase his cultivation, it could also help a dying man recover completely. It was like a life-saving medicine. Besides that, a peak-level late Sea of Souls realm warrior would need a huge amount of Jin Yuan to reach the life and death realm. The longevity fruit was definitely the best choice. No matter which one it was, it would be enough for him to risk his life. Get lost. What Tai Shi performed this time was not the earth-profound sword art, but the water-profound sword art. As he waved out his sword, that water-like sword power was endless, continuously canceling out Tian Yin-so's attack. Soon, a huge wave appeared and blew Tian Yin-so away again. Then, the bulky middle-aged man could not handle Tai Shicheng's water-profound sword art either, so the two had to stop and wait for the fourth fruit, which was still red in color. Earth profound, water profound. Added with the heaven and earth sword art that he had performed many times before. It seems like this Tai Shicheng has trained the earth profound, which represents the earth in the world. As for the sky, it contains too many elemental profound. Therefore, any one of them could complement the earth profound. Earth carries everything. This is not just a saying, it has a special status. Seeing Tai Shicheng perform another water profound sword movement, Yi Chen had more or less figured out Tai Shicheng's battling style. Brother Tai Shicheng, my brother was wounded badly by him. You have to take revenge for him. Seeing that Tai Shicheng had successfully gotten the third fruit, Li Feng hurried to say to Tai Shicheng. He knew that he would not be able to fight against Yi Chen, so he hoped that Tai Shicheng would be able to handle Yi Chen. Tai Shicheng glanced at Yi Chen. I will, but not now. But Li Feng still wanted to say something. Frowning, Tai Shicheng stopped him from continuing. Right now, fighting for the fruit is more important. Let's put our personal grudges aside. If it were not for Yan Fengfeng, Tai Shicheng would not mind taking revenge for Li Lei right now. But he knew how powerful Yan Fengfeng was, and in fact, very few people could push her to her limit. Even people as powerful as the top 5 young warriors would not want to mess with Yan Fengfeng, because they knew that if she wanted to run away, they would not be able to stop her at all. The slightly weaker young warriors naturally knew about her speed, so they would not want to waste time with her. They would at most exchange a couple of attacks, but would not fight to the death. And the weaker ones would not be able to push her to her limit either. Therefore, a lot of people could not tell exactly how powerful Yan Fengfeng was, and Tai Shicheng was no exception. It seems like Tai Shicheng is not planning to take on you right now. Hai Wuya had seen the expressions on Li Feng and Tai Shicheng's faces, so he said to Yi Chen with a smile. Yi Chen said lightly, he is just afraid of Sister Yan. Yan Fengfeng was very powerful. On the surface, she seemed to be at the same level as Hai Wuya, but she was in her human form right now, not in her battling mode. Just like Sun Shaojin, once she returned to her battling mode, her power would increase drastically. Of course, Yi Chen did not expect others to protect him either. Once he ate the fruit, his power would definitely increase drastically, and he would not need to be afraid of Tai Shichong anymore. By then, he would be able to compete with the latter. It seems like I will have to use my last ace card. Tian Yinso glanced at Tai Shichong and Yen Fengfeng, then finally glanced at the bulky middle-aged man. These three were not easy to mess with. Without using his ace card, the chance of getting the fourth fruit would not be more than 30% or even lower. Humans would die for wealth, and birds would die for food. After waiting for about half an hour, the fourth longevity fruit wobbled down from the sky. "It's mine!" Tian Yinso yelled as he threw out 3 pearls that were filled with evil qi. Each time he threw out one, he felt like his heart was bleeding. Boom! 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 Before the 3 pearls landed on the ground, they had already exploded, bringing up waves of evil wind and beast roars. "It's the evil beasts!" Tai Shichong, Yen Fengfeng, and the bulky middle-aged man hurried to stop, and the rest of the people were forced to stop as well. All of a sudden, 3 extremely evil-looking beasts appeared out of nowhere. No one had seen these beasts before, and they seemed to be made up of a couple of different kinds of beasts. "What are these evil beasts?" Guan Qin asked her brother disciple. Hai Wuya explained, "The sound beasts are not living creatures. They are made with an evil secret art. First, a couple of rank 10 beasts, who had their beast power taken out, are locked in an airtight secret room and made to kill each other. Once all of the beasts are dead, a secret art is used to collect the evil qi from the beasts in the secret room and store it in the evil beast bead. Then, the bead is put into the head of another rank 10 beast, slowly devouring its soul. In the end, the beast's soul will enter the bead and naturally merge with the evil qi in the bead, making its soul even more brutal. Once it comes out, it will be able to use the earth qi and the evil qi to form its own body, which would be even more powerful than before. It would be powerful enough to kill most of the normal Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. Plus, since the body of the beast is made of the earth qi and the evil qi, it is almost immortal. No matter how hard you try to attack it, it would not be able to hurt it. So powerful! Guan Qin thought to herself. Yen Fengfeng stared at an evil beast in front of her, a cold light flashing through her eyes. The art of making evil beasts is almost lost. I wonder where he got it from. Although Yen Fengfeng had killed a lot of beasts, she was still a beast after all. She hated this kind of cruel secret art very much. Nirvana flame. As she spoke, Yen Fengfeng opened her mouth and spat out a sticky green flame with a hint of red in it. It seemed to be alive, as it wriggled a bit in the air before landing on the incoming sound beasts with a swooshing sound. Whoosh! If it were a normal flame, it would not be able to hurt the evil beast at all. But this green and red flame was like a burning fire meeting fuel. At first, it was only a small flame, but within the next second, the evil beast had already been lit up, turning into a fire beast. That creepy wail came out of the fire, but it was getting weaker and weaker. Hai Wuya forced a smile. It is not easy to train your Nirvana flame. Killing evil beasts would be such a waste. Of course, he knew that Yen Fengfeng was angry. Soul power and fire power combined perfectly. Such a magical Nirvana flame. Yi Chen gasped. He could tell that the Nirvana flame could not only burn physical objects, but also souls. In other words, this kind of flame would bring about a double attack, and its destructive power would be immeasurable. No one below the life and death realm would dare to touch it, because they would be burnt instantly. However, it would be a bit difficult to use it on enemies other than the evil beasts, since it was too slow. Warriors at the same level would be able to avoid it easily. Yi Chen could tell that Yen Fengfeng did not have a lot of Nirvana flame inside her body. She might only have one flame left, and it would be hard for her to recover. My slaughter sword intent and destruction sword intent can both kill the evil beast's soul, rendering its body useless. But, since Yen Feng has used the Nirvana flame, I will not have to do it anymore. Facing the evil beasts, the others might not be able to do anything, but Yi Chen was much more relaxed, since the evil beasts were not that different from the thunder spirits. Their bodies were made of energy, and their weakness was their soul and intelligence. In comparison, the evil beasts' souls were much more powerful than the thunder spirits. Otherwise, Yi Chen would be able to kill them within a second. After burning the evil beasts, the blue and red flame that had shrunk a bit went back into Yen Fengfeng's body. On Yi Chen's side, nothing had happened, but the other two sides had fallen into a tough battle. Obviously, Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man did not have the means to kill the evil beasts in a short period of time, so they could only fight it out. As for Tian Yinso, he had already gotten his fourth fruit. When he saw Yen Feng kill his evil beasts so easily, his mouth twitched a little. It is not easy to make these evil beasts of mine. I have only made 4 of them in the past decade. Once the beads are broken, the evil beasts will slowly use up their soul power and eventually disappear. I wonder if it is a loss or a gain. Tian Yinso was a bit hurt. The evil beasts were not born naturally, so they had a lot of limitations after all. Their soul power would gradually weaken and eventually disappear into nothingness. The evil beast's opponents were Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man. Before they died, they would naturally not be able to kill the two. Who? After a while, the 2 evil beasts disappeared into the wind. Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man did not look too good. Battling with the evil beasts had cost a lot of their Zhen Yuan and physical strength, which was not a good sign. Chapter 592. The 5th and 6th fruits fell down almost at the same time. The ones fighting for the 5th fruit were Yen Feng and Tian Yinso, while the ones fighting for the 6th one were Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man. Since the 7th fruit was about to ripen as well, everyone else was waiting. It is coming down. The 7th fruit was blown away by the wind and fell straight down. Brother Hai, I will help you from the side. You try to get this fruit. Maintaining the same speed as Hai Wuya, Yi Chen sent a message to him. All right. The battle between Li Lei and Yi Chen had made Hai Wuya realize that Yi Chen's power was no weaker than his, and he estimated that there was only a slight difference between them. Plus, Yi Chen's speed and insane survivability were exactly what he needed. If he had Yi Chen's help, he would have more than 50% chance of getting the fruit. Head disciple, I will help you as well. Guan Qin was confident in her speed, but not in her power. Once she got the fruit, she would be attacked by the others, since not everyone would be able to survive that kind of attack. Since there were still a lot of fruits left, if her head disciple Hai Wuya could get more, then she might be able to get one as well. Alright, this fruit will be mine for sure. I will use all of my power as well. Earth shake sky spin. Hai Wuya's body spun in the air, and an astonishing amount of water Yuan Qi gathered towards him. Moreover, it revolved around Hai Wuya without any pattern. Everyone knew that when an object moved violently, it would bring about a strong energy field, and when water revolved crazily without any pattern, it would cause the area within 100 meters to become a chaotic world. Anything that entered this world would have a subtle imbalance. This attack is very powerful. Yi Chen could sense that the air around him was filled with aggressive water Yuan Qi. The water Yuan Qi clashed with each other and merged together, changing the gravitational field of this area. What's going on? Why do I feel like the world is spinning? Even if they were Sea of Soul Realm experts who could go up into the sky and down into the ground, they would still be helpless when facing the changes of the natural environment. For example, if the gravity of the natural environment was slightly out of balance, they would not be able to adapt to it. After all, they were in this world, and would be restricted by the natural rules. Hai Wuya had messed up the gravity of this world. One gravity would not be a problem, and 2 would not be much of an obstacle either. But, if there were too many of them, it would be extremely hard for them to counteract the obstacles of different gravity in a short period of time. The longevity fruit is mine. Everyone made mistakes, so Haiwea easily obtained the 7th longevity fruit. Bastard, so what if you can affect our balance? Can you affect the balance of our Qi-Jin? Die. All of a sudden, except for Yi Chen, Guan Qin, and Ling Tianhao, everyone else attacked Haiwea. Void-shattering finger. Mysterious heaven hammer. Limitless direct smash. It was impossible for Yi Chen and the other 2 to watch Haiwea being attacked together, so they each performed their ace attacks to cancel out part of the qi flow. However, Haiwea himself would not just sit and wait. The second he got the longevity fruit, he turned his body and threw out a powerful palm power. Boom! The qi flow exploded, and Haiwea was blown backward with a pale face as blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth. These people still wanted to continue attacking, but a blue fire line passed through them like a shadow. The 2 people in the front were blown away while the rest of them backed out a couple of steps as well. It was Yen Fengfeng. After getting her 2nd longevity fruit, Yen Fengfeng rushed over immediately and solved the crisis for Haiwea with twice the speed of normal people. On the other side, Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man had also come to an end. The one who got the fruit was naturally Tai Shichong. One had to admit that the bulky middle-aged man was not as good at fighting for things. If the fight for the first 7 longevity fruits was intense and tragic, then the fight for the next one was crazy. Although there were dozens of longevity fruits on the longevity tree, the tree would only contribute a small portion of them. The rest would not fall off. There were examples of this in the past. After paying the price of being wounded, the bulky middle-aged man finally got the 8th fruit. The 9th fruit went to Tai Shichong, and with this one, he had already gotten 3 of them. He was indeed horrifying when he used all of his power, and even Yen Fengfeng would have to run away from him. But he was not satisfied yet. He still wanted to fight for the Li brothers, since it would be a good thing for him if they became more powerful. The 10th fruit went to Yen Fengfeng. In order to fight for this fruit, Yen Fengfeng turned back into her original form, which was a massive blue phoenix. Her whole body was covered in blue flames, and as she flapped her wings, the whole sky was filled with blue flames. Tian Yinso and the bulky middle-aged man were covered in dust. Tai Shichong frowned, but he did not try to fight for it. Brother Ling, you better wait for 1.5 years before you try to train the fruit. This fruit only has an 80% chance of helping you reach mid-sea of Soul's realm. Yen Fengfeng had already gotten 2 fruits, so she gave the 3rd one to Ling Tianhao and said. Ling Tianhao took over the fruit happily and said, Head disciple, I know. I will only eat it when I am fully confident. If he wasted the fruit, even without Yen Fengfeng telling him, he would not forgive himself. Head disciple. Guan Qin looked at Haiwea. Among the 5, she was the only one who did not have a fruit. Haiwea frowned and said, Don't worry, there is still a chance. On the other side, Tian Yinso had already decided to leave. He did not need the fruit to increase his cultivation, since he only needed it to increase his Zhen Yuan storage. Moreover, 1 fruit could save him a couple of years of cultivation. Of course, no one would complain about having too many of them. But he also knew that there were 3 people here who were just as powerful as him. Among them, Yen Fengfeng and Tai Shichong were even slightly more powerful than him. Plus, there were so many of them. If they continued to fight, they might not be able to leave at all. Haha, you guys keep fighting. I will leave first. One had to admit that Tian Yinso was able to escape from a rank 5 martial institution and live freely for decades. He was indeed quite capable. He left without any hesitation and did not let his greed get the better of him. This guy sure runs fast. Yen Fengfeng made a face. Not far away, Tai Shichong squinted his eyes. He was planning to make Tian Yinso stay after this and take his share. But Tian Inso left just like that, which was out of his expectation. As for Yi Chen, he did not plan to do anything to him right now. He had plenty of time, and he would wait until he reached Late Sea of Soul's realm before going after him. After all, Yan Fengfeng's power was not weaker than his. Speaking of which, after Li Lei was wounded, their overall power would be slightly weaker than Yan Fengfeng's side. What a cunning old fox! It would not be easy to make him suffer. The bulky middle-aged man knew what Tian Inso was thinking, so he was impressed. Later, I will perform the barbarian race god inviting great art and take the 11th fruit. The middle-aged man was very jealous of Tai Shichong and Yan Fengfeng. Among everyone here, the two had the most fruits, and he only had one. One had to admit that when the barbarian race tried their best, it was quite horrifying. No one knew what kind of secret art they had performed, but their power had increased drastically. Their small giant-like bodies were covered in black patterns, and most of the attacks from weapons would be cancelled out. Therefore, the 11th fruit landed in the middle-aged man's hand. The 12th and 13th fruit were taken by Yan Fengfeng and Tai Shichong respectively. Yan Fengfeng gave the fruit to Guanqin. Rumble! After dropping the 13 fruits, the long life tree suddenly rose up from the ground. Its massive roots had almost flipped over half of the island, drowning it in the lake water. As for the longevity tree, it was wrapped in a red light. With a "so" sound, it tore through the air and flew into the depths of the savage, desolate, ancient land. Soon, only a red dot of light remained. The dot of light flickered a few times before disappearing without a trace. Yan Fengfeng and Tai Shichong did not chase after it, since they did not dare to offend the tree, since it had the power to kill them within seconds. Haha! This time, we got more than the previous two combined. We got 6 fruits in total. Hai Wuya laughed. 13 fruits, they got 6, Tai Shichong got 4, the bulky middle-aged man got 2, and Tian Inso got 1. Without a doubt, they got the most, which was almost half of the total. Yi Chen said, "This kind of fortune is hard to come by." Indeed. The red light beam from the tree could only be seen within 1,000 miles. Otherwise, no one would know that there was a long life tree here. Otherwise, there would be a lot of people fighting for it, and we might not even get half of it. It would be great if we could get 2 or 3. Those who came to the savage ruin ancient place were all powerful warriors, and they were only a part of it. Perhaps there would be even more powerful master-level warriors. Yan Fengfeng, there is no winner in today's battle. Let's fight again next time. Tai Shichong did not plan to mess with Yi Chen right away, so he said with a cold tone. Yan Fengfeng said, "I will wait for you. Let's go." Tai Shichong brought Li Feng and the rest who were unwilling to give up and left. Before leaving, he glanced at Yi Chen, his gaze sharp like a sword. After Tai Shichong and the rest left, there were only the bulky middle-aged man and his people, as well as Yan Fengfeng and Yi Chen. "Let's go as well." The bulky middle-aged man did not have any conflict with Yi Chen, so he left as well. "Everyone, I would like to find a place to close up and make a breakthrough. Could you give me 1 day?" 1 day was more than enough to make a breakthrough, since it was not the same as learning the profound sense. Yi Chen looked at Yan Fengfeng and Hai Wuya. Yan Fengfeng said, "Yi Chen, are you confident? The fruit is not easy to get. If you waste it, it will be gone forever." "Yeah. Yi Chen, there is no rush. Let's talk about it when we are confident." Yi Chen laughed. "I do not dare to say that I am 100% confident, but I am 99% confident." His training speed was not the top, since it was related to his physical talent. In terms of making a breakthrough, not many people would be able to compete with him. His soul talent would make it easier for him to make a breakthrough. The reason why he was able to reach the Sea of Souls realm at the age of 24 was because it was easy for him to make a breakthrough. As for accumulating Zhen Yuan, he would be able to rely on pellets or natural treasures. "Alright, 1 day is not that long. We will protect you. As they talked, the group flew toward the southeast. This was a desolate mountain range that stretched as far as the eye could see. Inside a small, inconspicuous mountain, Yi Chen was sitting with his legs crossed and training inside the hollowed-out mountain. Outside the mountain, Yan Fengfeng, Hai Wuya, and the rest were also sitting down to recover their Zhen Yuan. Chapter 593. Before they knew it, the sky had already darkened. Alright, it would be best if you do not train at night. The night here is filled with an invisible evil qi. If you are not careful, the evil qi will invade your mind and affect your mind. Yan Fengfeng was the first one to wake up from her meditation and wake the others up. Ling Tianhao said, Yi Chen is still training. Should we remind him? Hai Wuya chuckled, do not underestimate Yi Chen. His sword intent is the scariest I have ever seen. This bit of evil qi will not affect him at all. Plus, sword artists rarely go crazy. Their sword intent can kill the invading evil qi. In the center of the mountain, such a magical fruit. Not only does it contain a huge amount of natural power, it can also nourish the body and improve the dantian. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, the breakthrough in the realm would also be the breakthrough in the dantian. Once the dantian was improved, the breakthrough would come naturally. As for the mind control ability, Yi Chen had never lacked it before, which was also the reason why he could reach the Sea of Souls realm so quickly. Sensing with his mind, Yi Chen could feel that his dantian was changing. As it changed, the Zhen Yuan ocean inside was changing as well, becoming more and more pure. Every tiny bit of it had the power to pierce through mountains. If the whole Zhen Yuan ocean exploded, it would definitely be able to turn everything within dozens of miles upside down. Shoo! Shoo! As his dantian and Zhen Yuan changed, more and more impurities were smelted out, flowing into Yi Chen's right hand through his meridians. Yi Chen's right hand shone with a blue light, which was mixed with a grayish-black qi. It had a corrosive property, causing the air to sizzle. I did not expect my Zhen Yuan to have so many impurities, and they are corrosive as well. Yi Chen had thought that his Zhen Yuan was already pure enough, and even if there were impurities, there would not be many. However, he did not expect that he would still be able to refine out impurities from his pure Zhen Yuan. Moreover, these impurities were different from the impurities he had seen before. As for his dantian, it contained even more impurities, since it was the place to store Zhen Yuan. Every time he made a breakthrough, his Zhen Yuan would be purified, but there would still be some impurities hidden in the corners of his dantian. As time passed, Yi Chen's right hand was almost completely covered in that grayish-black qi, which was very frightening. If he were to battle with someone, this palm attack would be enough to wound the opponent severely. Yeah, my dantian is expanding, and my Zhen Yuan is increasing as well. I should not be too far away from the breakthrough. Sensing the change in his dantian, Yi Chen took a deep breath and continued to circulate his Zhen Yuan, speeding up the process. The next morning, with the short mountain as the center, the natural Yuan Qi was messed up. Then, a shocking amount of Yuan Qi gathered into a Yuan Qi flow, passing through the surface of the mountain and pouring into Yi Chen's body. Meanwhile, Yi Chen's body was like an extremely precise machine, continuously converting the Yuan Qi flow into Zhen Yuan. Breakthrough. Outside of the mountain, Yan Fengfeng and the rest could feel the natural change caused by Yi Chen. Tsk. He is indeed worthy of being able to compete with the Duguju Dantai Mingyue. Breaking through just like that? I wonder how much effort it took for me to reach mid-Sea of Souls realm. Hai Wuya praised. Inside the empty mountain, Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes. 2 beams of cold lightning shot out as he threw out a palm attack onto the mountain wall in front of him. Pooh! The mountain wall seemed to have decayed as it softened down. So many corrosive impurities. Yi Chen was shocked. But, at least I have reached mid-Sea of Souls realm. The amount and quality of my Zhen Yuan have increased to another level. For Yi Chen, every breakthrough was extremely precious. After reaching Sea of Soul's realm, the only thing he lacked was time. Yi Chen, you made a breakthrough? Yan Feng and the other three walked in. Standing up, Yi Chen laughed, not bad. I did not waste the fruit. Your breakthrough is indeed fast. It only took you half a day. Yi Chen had closed up for training yesterday afternoon, and it was already the morning of the second day. Only 14 hours had passed, and the four thought that it would take him until this afternoon. Sorry for making everyone wait for so long. Let's go now. There was only 1 month in a year in the Savage Ruin ancient place, so the savage evil chi was sparse. Moreover, as the month went on, the savage evil chi would get thicker and thicker. Although Yi Chen was not afraid, he still had to think about Guan Qin and Ling Tianhao. Since that is the case, let's go. Yan Feng nodded. After a night of rest, everyone was in a good condition. The area on the map was very far away. After 3 days, Yi Chen and the other four finally arrived at the edge of the area. According to the map, there is a small forbidden place 300 miles ahead. It is not a small forbidden place, and it is very dangerous. But, the more dangerous it is, the more rewards there will be. Yan Feng opened the map and glanced at it before looking at the front. Fortune comes from danger. Since we are already here, how can we miss it? Hai Wuya laughed. Brother Hai is right. No one would complain about having more treasures. In fact, resources were sometimes more important than talent. Otherwise, why would there be so many martial geniuses in the big martial institutions? Although Yi Chen was not a disciple of a big martial institution, he had a lot of opportunities along the way. 300 miles was only a couple of breaths for the five. This place was a massive volcano. The five stood on top of the volcano and looked down. It was obvious that the volcano was shockingly wide. It was more than 1,000 meters wide. If such a wide volcano were to explode, it would be a devastating disaster. There are a lot of minerals in the volcano, as well as some extreme yang treasures. Yan Feng was the first to enter the volcano. She was a descendant of the phoenix, so fire could not harm her at all. Instead, it could increase her battle power. Coming to the volcano was like coming home. The inside of the volcano was a massive space. The top of the volcano was more than 1,000 meters wide, and the bottom was dozens of li wide. As far as the eye could see, it was a golden lava lake. There were many huge black rocks on the surface of the lake, and on these rocks there were some spirit plants. A few golden plants attracted Yi Chen's attention. Intense sungrass is not a precious spirit plant, but refining the shadowless poison's antidote requires it. The intense yang medicinal power can eliminate most of the poison. Shua. Flying down, Yi Chen picked a few intense sungrasses. The others also started moving. Hovering above a massive rock, Yan Feng frowned. On the surface of the rock, there were some dents, which were left by harvesting the herbs. Judging from these dents, they were obviously made recently, as the edges and corners were very clear. Someone has been here. Yan Feng came to a conclusion. Indeed, someone has been here. But, there is not even a single upper-grade fire cloud stone. Only some mid-grade and below. Hai Wuyao was greatly disappointed. Fire cloud stone was an extremely precious spirit stone, containing a powerful flame power. Normally, it would be formed in volcanoes. However, ordinary volcanoes only had low-grade fire cloud stones. Mid-grade fire cloud stones would take at least several thousand years to form, and upper-grade fire cloud stones could only be found in volcanoes that had existed for tens of thousands of years. A huge battle took place here. Ling Tianhao found traces of battle on the inner walls of the volcano. Bad luck, let's go somewhere else. Yan Feng flew out. Half a day later, Yan Feng's face was unsightly. All the forbidden areas on the map have been entered by someone, and it was only recently. What a coincidence! Hai Wuya revealed a doubtful expression. Sucking in a deep breath, Yan Feng said, "The other party should have a map just like me." She had already thought it through. The person who had sold her the map must have made a lot of copies. Although hers was the original, it did not make much of a difference. Yi Chun thought for a bit and said, "If we search the forbidden areas in order, we will only be one step behind the others. In my opinion, we should choose the furthest forbidden area first." Yi Chun is right. Hai Wuya's eyes shone. That's the only way. Yen Feng felt that this method was feasible. Haha, no one has been to these forbidden areas indeed. Brother Yi is indeed smart. On top of a mine, Hai Wuya looked at the precious ores and spirit plants growing along with them, and could not help but laugh. Starting from the furthest forbidden area, the five explored several forbidden areas. The forbidden areas of the savage ancient place were indeed dangerous. But, with the five working together, there was no situation they could not deal with. Each of them had a bountiful harvest. I have already found more than half of the materials for the shadowless poison. Perhaps I can get more. The shadowless poison was one of the most mysterious poisons in the world. Even life and death realm warriors could not cure it. It was not hard to imagine how rare and precious the materials for the antidote would be. After sweeping through this forbidden area, the five flew toward another forbidden area. 1,000 miles away, there was a huge underground cave, and one could faintly hear the roar of a dragon coming from it. Outside the cave, colorful yuan qi gathered into the shape of a dragon, circling and soaring. It was a grand scene. Many demonic beasts rushed into the cave, but soon, miserable cries rang out and stopped abruptly. Shoo! Shoo! A group of people flew over. Such a rich dragon qi. This place must be a dragon cave. This group of people was indeed the Sky Tiger race's Machi Lu, and the blue-eyed white wolf Ao family's Ao Wubai, and the rest of them, that Yen Feng and the other four had met on their way to the savage ruin ancient place. Machi Lu chuckled. There are a lot of dragon blood plants in the ruins, which are quite beneficial for us demi-beasts. If we can get the dragon bone jade marrow, it would be even better. Ao Wubai said, after so many years, the dragon bone jade marrow would have turned into fossils already. Although the chance is small, it is not impossible. Let's go in. Machi Lu could sense that there were a lot of powerful beasts in the cave. He immediately activated his Zhen Yuan, and a fierce tiger shadow appeared behind him. It had a pair of wings on its back, and its pupils were gold in color. A blue-eyed white wolf shadow appeared behind Ao Wubai as well. Obviously, it was even more powerful than the warriors from the Ao family that Yi Chun had met before. It was even 4 to 5 times bigger, and there was no emotion in its blue eyes. As for the few people behind them, they were all demi-beasts as well. They all activated their bloodline shadows. Some of them were bears, and some were eagles. After half an hour, another group of people arrived. It was Yi Chun and the other four. Dragon Qi. It is the Dragon Cave. Yen Feng and Yi Chun were the first to sense the Dragon Qi in the sky. Chapter 594. Entering the cave, the five once again discovered that someone had entered first, and not too long before them. TSK, the strength of the newcomer is not weak at all. This is a fire dragon wolf, but it was killed in one claw attack. Even its skull was smashed. Hai Wuya squatted down and carefully identified the dead demonic beast. Fire dragon wolf, a demonic wolf with dragon bloodline. Everyone be careful. The dragon qi here is extremely viscous, greatly weakening the detection of soul power. Yen Fengfeng's brows creased. Her soul power could only radiate out several hundred meters, and it was not a perfect circle, but rather irregular. Let's go this way. 2 forks appeared in front of them. One of the forks led for 1,000 meters, and there were a few demonic beast corpses. Yi Chun didn't want to encounter the group of people in front so early, so he chose the other fork. Roar. Indeed, no one had passed through this fork, and a thorn dragon lizard darted out. Courting death. Yen Fengfeng's right hand was wreathed in blue flames, turning into a huge green jade phoenix claw, which tore off the lizard's head. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yen Fengfeng looks noble and charming in her human form, but when she attacks, she is incomparably brutal. But it makes sense. Blue Phoenix is a demonic beast, and demonic beasts are more aggressive than humans. Yi Chen glanced at the lizard's corpse and smiled bitterly. The dragon cave was filled with dragon qi, and some powerful demonic beasts occupied this place, gradually absorbing the dragon qi and evolving the dragon bloodline. With the dragon bloodline, one's cultivation level wouldn't increase, but their battle prowess would increase. There were also some demonic beasts that already had the dragon bloodline, and they were like tigers that had grown wings. Continuing forward for 7 to 8 li, an extremely oppressive dragon claw demonic cow blocked in front of the 5. Its eyes were filled with a bloody light, looking ruthless and cruel. It could sense a trace of dragon power in Yi Chen's body, and Yen Fengfeng was even more powerful, as she had the pure blue phoenix power inside her body. If it could eat the two of them, its power would definitely reach the next level, and it would have a chance to become a half-step demonic beast king. Dragon claw demonic cow. I didn't expect to see it here. It's almost extinct outside. Unfortunately, the difficulty of taming a demonic beast with the bloodline of a dragon is much higher than other demonic beasts. Otherwise, I would have to injure it severely and bring it out of the savage, desolate, ancient land. To tame a demonic beast, it was usually tamed from a young age. It was almost impossible to tame a demonic beast that had the bloodline of a dragon. So far, no one had ever heard of anyone successfully taming a demonic beast with the bloodline of a dragon. Roar! The dream-eating wolf barked in the familiar beast plate. It was more interested in the dragon claw demon cow than the thorny dragon lizard. The latter had only absorbed dragon energy and evolved the dragon bloodline. The former itself contained the dragon bloodline, and even its hooves had turned into dragon claws. The dragon claw devil cow was not easy to deal with. Seriously speaking, no one present was its opponent, but with 5 people joining forces, the dragon claw devil cow could only be beaten. Nirvana flame. Yen Fengfeng turned into her blue phoenix form and spat out a mouthful of blue-red flame, hitting the dragon claw demonic bull's head. Poochie. The dragon claw demon cow's terrifying defense was burned through, and part of its brain was burnt. Endless vitality. Holding the thunder disaster sword, Yi Chen struck the dragon claw demonic bull's chest for the 12th time. The sword tip pierced deeply, piercing through its heart. The dragon claw demonic bull's vitality was extremely tenacious. Before its death, its huge dragon claw waved at Yi Chen, locking down the space around it. Break! His left index finger pointed at the frozen void, and Yi Chen pierced through it, avoiding the claw attack. Missing its target, the dragon claw demonic bull's vitality was completely exhausted, and it fell to the ground. This demonic bull deserves to die. It actually wounded me so badly. Among the 5, Yi Chen, Yen Fengfeng, and Hai Wuya were engaged in close combat with the dragon claw demonic bull, while Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin were assisting from afar. Yen Fengfeng's speed was unparalleled, so the dragon claw demonic bull naturally couldn't do anything to her. Yi Chen's dodging ability was also outstanding, allowing him to narrowly avoid every attack. Hai Wuya, on the other hand, was not so lucky. The dragon claw demonic bull's claw landed on his chest. If not for Yen Fengfeng's timely assistance, this claw would have ripped out all of his ribs and shattered all of his internal organs. Fortunately, I got a Heaven Yuan white fruit earlier. Otherwise, I would have no choice but to return home. Sucking in a cold breath, Hai Wuya swallowed a chicken egg-sized white fruit. This Heaven Yuan white fruit was originally meant to save his life in the future, and he was really reluctant to use it. However, compared to the treasures in the Dragon Cave ruins, it was necessary to give up a Heaven Yuan white fruit. After a quarter of an hour, Hai Wuya was completely healed, and the 5 continued forward. That green-scaled draconic lion was really scary. It took the 6 of us to work together to kill it. In another cave, a half-beast young man said with lingering fear. Machi Lu said, "The green-scaled draconic lion was indeed powerful, but unfortunately it was facing us." The green-scaled draconic lion's battle power was even higher than the dragon-claw demonic cows, and the cow-type demonic beast's battle talent was still weaker than the lion-type demonic beasts. After not seeing each other for a few months, Brother Machi's heavenly tiger bloodline has become even purer. I'm afraid it's not far from completion. Ao Wubai and Machi Lu were partners, but also competitors. In the battle with the green-scaled draconic lion just now, the scene of Machi Lu smashing the latter's head with one claw was extremely terrifying. Ao Wubai guessed that Machi Lu's strength might be a bit higher than his. Of course, in a battle of life and death, it was still uncertain who would win. Machi Lu smiled and said, "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to do anything to it. If I'm not wrong, you've already condensed a trace of the blue-eyed white wolf's power. With that, you can transform into a werewolf in a short time." Hee, isn't Brother Machi the same? The ultimate form of a half-beast was to transform into a half-beast. Half-human, the other half-demonic beast. This way, their battle power would be at its peak. After a while, 2 more forks appeared in front of the 6. So many forks were almost 100 li underground. Yi Chen's side was also faced with many choices, so they could only follow their instincts. Forks after forks, choices after choices. Unknowingly, the 5 of them had reached even deeper underground. There were no more forks in front of them, only a vast underground world. This world contained many ferocious phenomena. There was underground magma, bone-corroding poisonous water, bone-scraping divine winds, and flocks of blazing dragon birds flying in the sky. This magma is a bit special. Blaze dragon birds never come to this side. Hai Wuya sensed something strange. Swish. Yi Chen flicked his hand and shot out a piece of iron fragment. It was as fast as light, but once it reached the magma river, it immediately fell down and melted into ashes. Super strong gravity. Yi Chen frowned. It is just magma. What kind of magma could break through our protective Jin Yuan? Ling Tianhao did not care at all. Yan Fengfeng glanced at Ling Tianhao. "Brother Ling, if you had come here alone, you would have most likely died here. This lava is not normal lava, and it is not even lava at all. It is the dragon flame formed by the fire power after being highly compressed." Dragon flame? Yi Chen and the other 3 were shocked. Yan Fengfeng explained, "Dragons are the legendary beasts, and most of them can breathe fire, which is the dragon flame. Once a bit of it is diluted, it can turn into a sea of fire. In terms of pure destructive power, even my phoenix ancestor would not be able to compete with it. This is the natural power of dragons." This is indeed horrifying. Everyone was clear that even the most gentle water could explode with horrifying power after being compressed, not to mention the dragon flame. Then, how do we get there? Guan Qin tilted her head and asked. Yan Fengfeng chuckled. "You guys have forgotten that my original form is a blue phoenix. The fire power will not harm me at all. Although the dragon flame is horrifying, it is not from the mouth of a dragon. There are some differences between the two. I will bring you guys over." As she spoke, she jumped into the air, turning into a massive blue phoenix. Her whole body was covered in blue flames, looking very noble and powerful. Come on. Under normal circumstances, Yan Fengfeng would not carry anyone, but now was an exception. Hearing her, the 5 jumped onto the blue phoenix's back. Shoo! Yan Fengfeng flapped her wings and flew toward the other side of the lava river. On the way, Yan Fengfeng could not resist the attraction of the lava river and was forced to fly close to it. That horrifying dragon flame and blue flame cancelled each other out, and nothing happened. Soon, the 5 arrived at the other side of the magma river. 500 miles away from here, Machi Lu and Ao Wubai were also blocked by the magma river, unable to move forward. "It is just a magma river. Watch me." The half-beast teenager with the massive black eagle on his back extended his body and flew out at an extreme speed, wanting to reach the other side in one breath. Before he could reach the center of the magma river, the half-beast teenager fell straight down and was burned into nothingness by the magma river. His voice stopped abruptly. Impossible! What kind of magma is this? Apart from Machi Lu, Ao Wubai and the other three turned pale with fright. A pondering expression flickered in Machi Lu's eyes. It can't be the dragon flame, right? Machi Lu thought of something and blurted out. Brother Machi, does the dragon flame you mentioned have something to do with dragons? Not many people knew about the dragon flame. After all, dragons were demonic beasts of legends, and most people had only read about them in ancient books. Machi Lu said, the dragon flame is the most powerful flame power. Its destructive power is not inferior to the phoenix flame. A trace of the dragon flame is enough to burn all of us into ashes. Then, we can only watch from here? Everyone understood that there must be treasures in front of them. Who would want to be blocked outside? Frowning, Machi Lu said, I don't know how long this dragon flame has existed. Its power is certainly not as strong as before. Let's see how powerful its destructive power is first. Machi Lu took out an upper-grade artifact from his storage ring and threw it into the magma river. Swoosh! The upper-grade artifact that even Sea of Soul Realm experts couldn't destroy melted at a visible speed, turning into ashes in the blink of an eye. Seeing this scene, everyone held their breath. A blink of an eye is enough for us to borrow power. But, according to the width of the magma river, we'll have to waste 5 upper-grade artifacts each. Let's go all out. You can't catch the wolf without risking it. Right. There must be some rare treasures inside. We can't miss it. As one of the top geniuses of the Sky Martial region, the 5 had quite a bit of wealth. They didn't lack upper-grade artifacts. Of course, they would definitely feel heartache. Even if they couldn't use them, they could still be sold for hundreds of thousands of upper-grade spirit stones. Just like that, the 5 smoothly crossed the magma river. Chapter 595. Damn it! These crazy birds! Just after crossing the lava river, Machi Lu and the other 4 were attacked by a group of crazy flaming dragon birds. After breaking through the blazing dragon birds' encirclement, a black river blocked their way. This black river was like ink and it was extremely dense. When the wind blew past, it didn't even cause a ripple. On the shore, there were a few white bone boats. The river is poisonous. Get on the boat. Machi Lu saw an injured flaming dragon bird fall into the river with his own eyes. When Machi Lu and the other 4 got on the boat, Yi Chen and the rest had already reached the center of the river. I did not expect that there would be white bone boats on this bone-corroding poison river. So thoughtful. These flaming dragon birds are also staring at us, not daring to come down. The 5 picked 2 boats. Yan Fengfeng, Ling Tianhao, and Guan Qin were on one boat while Yi Chen and Hai Weiao were on the other. Yi Chen laughed. They are afraid of the bone-corroding poison water. Once touched by a little bit, they would be completely destroyed. Therefore, they do not dare to get close to the river. Why do I feel like these flaming dragon birds are whispering to each other? Hai Weiao glanced at the flaming dragon birds in the sky and frowned. Boom! Just as Hai Weiao finished speaking, an extremely malevolent black crocodile appeared on the surface of the black river near the boat. This was the poison dragon crocodile. It was incomparably venomous, and anyone who was poisoned by it could not be saved. For some reason, it did not ram the white bone boat. Gold resonant radiance soared. Yi Chen's reaction shocked Hai Weiao. The second the black crocodile jumped out of the water, a slightly wide sword-shaped light wave shot out like a crescent moon. It was indeed Yi Chen who had waved the sword. Swoosh! The poison dragon crocodile's defense was not that high, way weaker than the other crocodile-type beasts. After being beheaded by one sword attack, its tensed body fell down hard, the black river corroding its body through the wound. Before Yi Chen could let out a breath, more poison dragon crocodiles jumped out, shooting out black venom toward the two from all directions. Rise! Hai Wuya circulated his Zhen Yuan, wanting to lift the white bone boat into the air. However, it was as if the white bone boat had taken root, sticking to the river and not moving at all. Hai Wuya finally understood why the poison dragon crocodile didn't knock the boat over. It turned out that for some unknown reason, the boat could only move forward and backward. It was impossible to knock it over. Boundless four directions. Seeing that the boat was unable to rise, Hai Wuya spun around and sent out a palm strike in all directions. The palm winds condensed into a wall, blocking the poison outside. Yi Chen did not stay idle either. His sword-shaped light wave shot out along the surface of the river. When he had reached the mid-sea of Soul's realm, he had a sudden inspiration, and his gold profound had reached the next level. It had pushed his gold resonant radiance sword art beyond its limit, reaching 110% completion. It had already deviated from its original form, and was slowly evolving into a light wave. Yi Chen knew that it was because his sword attack was at a low level, while his gold profound was at a high level. But of course, no matter what, his gold resonant radiance sword art was indeed much more powerful than before. Puff, 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 puff. The light wave flashed once, and one after another, the poison dragon crocodiles sank into the river. On the other side, Yan Fengfeng used her blue phoenix fire to cover the white bone boat while using her palm blade to attack the crocodiles, looking just as easy. The main character is here. The black river that had not been moving at all started to have huge bubbles. The surface of the river was filled with swirls, making a loud noise. Boom! Within the black water column that shot into the sky, a poison dragon crocodile with a wriggling body jumped out of the water. It looked like a flood dragon, but not a crocodile. Its body was extremely long, looking like a combination of a flood dragon and a crocodile. On its tail, there was even a row of thorns. Pap! The air had been ripped apart. This poison dragon crocodile waved its tail, attacking toward Yi Chen's boat in the air. Get the fuck back! Hai Wuya liked to fight head-on. He flipped his right hand and threw out a palm attack. His palm power was as powerful as ocean waves. Boom! A loud sound was heard as the poison dragon crocodile's tail and Hai Wuya's palm were locked in a stalemate. Break! Yi Chen seized the opportunity and pointed his finger at the crocodile's eye, piercing through it. Who? The poison dragon crocodile was extremely furious, so it lifted up its hind leg that was closest to Yi Chen. Its sharp claws shone with a cold light as it attacked over. Crossing the two swords in front of each other, Yi Chen blocked out the claw attack of the crocodile leader while throwing back a thunderball. Phoenix Peck! Yan Fengfeng's right hand turned into a blue jade phoenix claw. The tip of the claw closed together, and a beam of flame shot out, piercing through the crocodile's other eye. Without both of its eyes, the poison dragon crocodile had a lot of battling power, but it could not use it to its full potential. Soon, it escaped into the Black River and disappeared. After crossing the Black River, the five reached the shore. In front of him was a gray gale. It was extremely dense, carrying a faint gray crystal silk. Yi Chen threw out a top-rank artifact, which was immediately riddled with holes. Fortunately, it did not shatter. There are not a lot of gray crystal strings here. If we are careful, we should be fine. The five of them glanced at each other, then rushed into the gale. Inside the Black River, I did not expect this level to be so much easier than the lava river. There are only some weak defensive poison dragon crocodiles. Machi Lu and the other four thought that they would run into more danger, so they were very nervous. But they did not expect that they would make it to the other side without any danger. Getting on the shore, the five observed the wind for a while before jumping in as well. Be careful! There are wind spirits inside. Just then, countless wind blades attacked toward Yan Fengfeng, but she dodged them with her extreme speed. Within the intense wind, there seemed to be a human figure with a similar color to the wind. The human figure seemed to be floating in the air, seeming to have merged with the wind, making it hard to be seen. Yen Fengfeng was about to perform her nirvana flame when a powerful destructive sword intent spread out in all directions. The wind spirits that were close to it shrieked before their bodies disappeared. The ones that were further away had their bodies turn blurry as they tried to escape, not daring to get close to the five at all. This sword intent, it has the destructive will? Yen Fengfeng and the other three looked at Yi Chen with surprise. Yi Chen was the nemesis of this kind of natural life form. His peak level rank 4 destruction sword intent was equivalent to peak level rank 5 normal sword intent. Added with the special destruction element, it would not be hard for him to kill those wind spirits. The five continued to move forward and soon, they passed through the wind zone. Gasp! Lifting their eyes, the 5 of them gasped at the same time. In their line of sight there was a huge skeleton. The skeleton's body was wriggling like a python, coiled into a circle. Its huge head was slightly raised, and there were 2 antlers on its head. An invisible pressure was emitted from the skeleton, making it difficult for the 5 of them to even breathe. It is a dragon skeleton, Yen Fengfeng mumbled to herself. This pressure. It should be a pure dragon aura, right? It is even more horrifying than the ice flood dragon's aura. Even my Zhen Yuan circulation is restricted. Yi Chen tried his best to push his Zhen Yuan, and the dragon power filled up his body, canceling out the pressure brought by the dragon aura. A dragon that has been dead for God knows how many years can bring out this much pressure? I wonder how powerful it would be when it was alive. Look, there are dragon blood plants everywhere. There are at least dozens of them. Guan Qin's breathing accelerated. The dragon blood plant was a top rank plant that would only appear in places that had been soaked in dragon blood. It contained the dragon blood, and after being trained, it could form a beam of dragon power, which would strengthen the body. Training dozens of dragon blood plants would increase the dragon power quite a lot, which would allow them to have the same power as body training warriors. Maybe there is dragon bone jade marrow in the dragon bones. After refining the dragon bone jade marrow, it can also strengthen the physique. It can also form a thin layer of dragon bone defense on the surface of the body, greatly increasing the defensive power. In terms of value, the dragon bone marrow was even more valuable than the dragon blood plant. It was a semi-extreme rank item, but it would not be easy to block out this dragon aura. The dignity of the dragon could not be challenged, and the will of the dragon was even more unpredictable. After the dragon died, although its body would become very weak, the dragon aura that it gave off would not be weak at all. It was the proof of its power when it was alive. Haha, there really are dragon bones here. And so many dragon blood plants. Losing 5 top-rank weapons is nothing. 1 or 2 dragon blood plants would be enough to make up for it. 5 human figures appeared out of the wind. Machi Lu and Ao Wubai, who were leading the group, could not help but laugh out loud. The other 3 held their breaths as well, greed written all over their faces. Yen Fengfeng, give me some face and leave this place. I, Machi Lu, will owe you a favor. Machi Lu was afraid of Yen Fengfeng the most, so he tried to negotiate. Yen Fengfeng turned her head. How much is your favor worth? I don't need it. Ao Wubai took a step forward. What if I join in? Offending the Sky Tiger race and my blue-eyed white wolf family at the same time. I believe you will make the right choice. What? You want us to leave with just a few words? Do you think we are idiots? Hai Wuya mocked. Hai Wuya, I will remember this. Once we get out, I will beat you to death. Ao Wubai's pupils were like a wolf's, looking very dangerous. Beat me to death. Hai Wuya laughed out of anger. Brother Hai, no need to waste time with him. This place is a good place to bury them. After his breakthrough, Yi Chen had not had the chance to test it out with someone yet. He really wanted to know if his extreme battling power could kill demi-beast martial geniuses at this level. Yes, bury them. Hai Wuya revealed a killing intent. Brat, I have never seen you before. But, just because of what you have said today, there will be no place for you to live anymore. Even Yen Feng will not be able to protect you. Come out now, and I will leave you with a whole body. A blue-eyed white wolf shadow appeared behind Ao Wubai's back, waving its massive wolf tail. You! Yi Chen turned around to face him. Ao Wubai chuckled lightly. Which family or martial institution are you from? Do you have the guts to tell me? Within 3 months I will kill your whole family. I, Ao Wubai, am a man of my words. Unfortunately, you will not be able to see that day. Today, I will beat you to death before wiping out your family and martial institution. Shoo! Ao Wubai stomped on the ground and threw out a fist attack toward Yi Chen. Behind him, the blue-eyed white wolf shadow was huge, adding power to his attack. Chapter 596. Brother Yi, be careful. Ever since Yi Chen had reached the mid-sea of Soul's realm, Hai Wuya had no idea how powerful Yi Chen was anymore. All he knew was that Yi Chen's power was definitely not weaker than his. As for how much more powerful it was, he would have to observe further. Plus, Ao Wubai was not that easy to deal with either. 8 Wild Wolf Fist. Ao Wubai's movement was very weird, just like a wolf. He waved his fist, and that aggressive fist wind turned into a hungry wolf that rushed out. It roared into the sky with a strange magical power, as if a full moon had appeared in the sky. Wolf will? Oh right, this guy has the bloodline of the blue-eyed white wolf in him after all. An extremely penetrating yell was heard as Yi Chen jumped out of the ground. His Zhen Yuan, which was a level higher, exploded all of a sudden as he stabbed his sword into the head of the wolf. Wolf Shadow Jump. Ao Wubai did not even bother to look at the result of his fist attack. His body jumped, disappearing right in front of Yi Chen's eyes. Then, shadows appeared one after another. At first, they were Ao Wubai's shadows, but later on, they turned into wolf shadows. It seems like Ao Wubai did not underestimate his opponent at all. He had even performed his wolf shadow jump. Yen Feng, I will ask you again. Are you leaving or not? I admit that you are very powerful, but your partner might not be. Machi Lu looked at Yen Feng with confidence. I believe that they will not lose. A bright blue flame appeared behind Yen Feng's back, looking like a pair of massive fire wings. Both of her hands had turned into massive green jade phoenix claws. The claws looked very thin, not as thick as the dragon claws or tiger claws. But that sharp arc was enough to shock Machi Lu, all right. Since you are so stubborn, then I will save my breath. Everyone, let's go. Whoever kills their opponent first, I will give him more of the dragon blood plant. Roar. Screech. The demi-beasts had the characteristics of the beast. When they went crazy, they would be extremely brutal. Under the stimulation of the dragon blood plant, they all rushed at their opponents excitedly. Machi Lu, when we fought 3 years ago, you were defeated by me. I wonder how much progress you have made now? Yen Feng's speed was unparalleled. With only one step, she had already arrived in front of Machi Lu. Her indestructible green jade phoenix claw waved upwards, wanting to take off Machi Lu's head. 3 years ago, I lost to you in a single move. Today, I'll make you pay me back double. Machi Lu's hands had turned into platinum tiger claws. The tiger claws were sparkling and translucent, as if they had been forged from the finest and purest metal. They were full of texture, while the tiger claws were like profound iron, their thickness and sharpness enough to make one's scalp go numb. The first impression that these tiger claws gave off was that they were born to slaughter. Dang! Machi Lu blocked Yen Feng's attack with a claw attack. Phoenix Peck. Yen Feng retracted her other blue claw and pecked at Machi Lu's eyes. Tiger God Whip. A white light flashed, and a couple meters long white gold tiger tail swung out from Machi Lu's back, whipping at Yen Feng's wrist. This Machi Lu even grew a tiger tail. All right. Yen Feng's eyes were burning as she backed out. The pair of fire wings on her back attacked from both sides, reaching out dozens of meters. Shoo! 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 That sharp claw shadow appeared from time to time as Ao Wubai pushed his movement and attack speed to a higher level. Ting! Ting! Yi Chen controlled his step art to be within one step. Within that one step, he turned and moved. The Thunder Disaster sword in his hand was like a poisonous snake, clashing with Ao Wubai's claw shadow. Speed against speed, still unable to do anything to him? Shoo! The wolf shadow disappeared, and Ao Wubai's body appeared. It seems like I have underestimated you. But this is good as well. Otherwise, the situation would be too boring. Now, it is time for the main course, the bloodline bonding. Roaring into the sky, the blue-eyed white wolf shadow behind him merged with his body. His head and face started to grow longer, and his fangs started to pop out. White fur started to grow on his body. Following the back of his neck, the muscles on his back started to expand as well. Then, it was his arms, then his stomach, and then his legs. His clothes were torn apart instantly. Within the blink of an eye, Ao Wubai had turned into a werewolf standing upright. His body was covered in white fur, and his chest muscles were piled up together. Both of his arms and legs were extremely long, and that fluffy wolf tail was swinging back and forth, full of wild power. Such a powerful power! Every time the bloodline bonding happens, I feel so good. Unfortunately, it is only 15 minutes. But it is more than enough to take care of you. Die. Leaning his body forward, Ao Wubai's speed was pushed to its limit as his right wolf claw reached toward Yi Chen's heart. It was so fast that only a white line could be seen. So fast. It was the first time Yi Chen had seen a demi-beast transformation. Speed soared hell. The Thunder Disaster sword disappeared, and in front of Yi Chen, the sword light was everywhere. Break for me. Ao Wubai broke through the sword light blockade and attacked with his claw. Swoosh. Yi Chen took a couple of steps to the side, and a crack appeared on his right shoulder, exposing the shining gold armor. You can't dodge it. Ao Wubai turned around and threw out a powerful right leg. His foot claw was not any weaker than his hand claw. It was also extremely sharp, and it had the advantage of length. Dang. Yi Chen blocked out with his sword while his whole body backed out. Tisk tsk. Your reaction is quite fast. But how long can you last? After transforming into a werewolf, my speed and power have reached an explosive stage. Moreover, the angrier I am, the stronger I become. This is a power that far surpasses that of a human. Shoo! Ao Wubai disappeared once again, and when he reappeared, he was already 10 steps behind Yi Chen. Sparks appeared on the Thunder Disaster sword as Yi Chen took half a step to the side. If it were not for the vague claw shadow in front of him, no one would know that they had exchanged an attack. Impossible! I dodged it. That was even faster than before. The smile froze on his face as Ao Wubai's pupils shrunk as he stared at Yi Chen. Yi Chen said lightly, even if you were twice as fast, you would not be able to hurt me. If Yen Fengfeng's speed was unparalleled at the Sea of Souls realm, then in terms of reaction, observation, and coordination, Yi Chen would be unparalleled as well. No one would be able to hurt him with speed, unless it was a head-on battle. On the other side, Yen Fengfeng and Ma Qilu were still battling. Yen Fengfeng laughed. I told you, they would not lose. In fact, Yi Chen's performance had shocked her quite a bit as well. After Ao Wubai had turned into a werewolf, his short-distance movement speed was not that much slower than hers. And yet, Yi Chen was able to turn his body to the side and block all of a sudden. In other words, even if it was her, she would not be able to get the upper hand with speed. So what? Even if speed does not get the upper hand, the difference in power is like heaven and earth. Ma Qilu started to pay more attention to Yi Chen. This guy's power might be similar to Hai Wuya's, but his overall power was surprisingly high. Speed did not work on him at all. Wolf rush, exploding teeth. Knowing that pure speed would not work on Yi Chun, Ao Wubai decided to fight head-on. Of course, speed was still the key, but he had added more power. Boom! Ao Wubai's handclaws were extremely fast, forming a white line. Looking over, it looked like a massive wolf's fang, attacking at Yi Chen's head-on. Boom! A cluster of sawtooth, sword-shaped light wave welcomed the incoming attack. The two passed by each other. A swirl chi flow appeared in the air between the two. Wolf rush, double exploding teeth. Turning around, Ao Wubai ran toward Yi Chen again. His two claws, one in front and one in the back, looked like the fangs of a massive wolf. The Thunder Disaster Sword was thrown out first, the gold sword attacking upward. The two swords intersected, forming a perfect cross-shaped sword light, blocking the two fangs. Die! Ao Wubai kicked out with his knee. Thunder Bird Transformation. The Thunder Disaster Sword suddenly left his hand as Yi Chun formed a fist with his right hand, throwing out a flying bird thunderlight attack on Ao Wubai's chest. Boom! Ao Wubai was blown out backward. How could you be faster than me? Ao Wubai puked out a mouthful of blood as he said in disbelief. It is not that I am faster than you, it is that you have not gotten used to this extreme speed and power yet. You have suddenly gained power, and you cannot control it completely. Plus, I had already noticed that your movements were not coordinated, and were a bit out of shape. When a person suddenly gained a power that was a couple times more powerful, they would not be able to control it properly, and would not be able to turn that power into real power. Facing Yi Chen, any small mistake would be fatal. After a couple of rounds of battling, Yi Chen had soon found out his opponent's mistake. The moment his opponent's movement changed, Yi Chen knew that the killing attack was coming, so he attacked first. Void-shattering finger. The fist that had been thrown out reached out an index finger, which shone with a bright light. A huge blue finger pressed onto Ao Wubai's chest. Pop! Ao Wubai's chest was badly mutilated as he crashed into that dark wind. Ao Wubai has lost. Ma Chi Lu, who was battling with Yen Fengfeng, was shocked. He was accidentally kicked in the stomach by Yen Fengfeng, and the blue flame exploded. Retreat! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Ma Chi Lu yelled out angrily. The other three saw what had happened and knew that the situation was hopeless. The most powerful ones, Ma Chi Lu and Ao Wubai, were both wounded. If they stayed, it would be suicide. So, one after another, they ran into the wind despite their injuries. Hai Wuya and the other two could not stop them at all. You want to run? Yen Fengfeng pushed her speed to its limit as she chased after them. Heaven Tiger Roar! Ma Chi Lu roared, and the Heaven Tiger shadow behind him roared as well. Time seemed to have stopped and the space shook. Shoo! In that short second, it was enough for Ma Chi Lu to escape. He disappeared into the wind within a blink of an eye. Heaven Tiger Roar. It contains the will power attack. Yen Fengfeng stopped chasing. These demi-beasts are so hard to deal with. Hai Wuya walked over and shook his head helplessly. The other three, he had chosen the most powerful one, and he had been winning. But, his opponent was extremely tough, and he would not be able to beat him within a short period of time. Plus, all of the demi-beasts had some weird powers. Yen Fengfeng said, killing one or two of them would be meaningless. Yeah. Yi Chen nodded. If it were only Ao Wubai, he would let the dream-eating wolf come out and kill him together. But, there were 5 of them, and it would be impossible to kill them all. If one escaped, it would be troublesome. Therefore, it would be either not kill them or kill them all. Otherwise, if he killed one Ao Wubai, he would be attacked by the Ao family, which would be quite troublesome. Chapter 597. All right, no matter what, this victory belongs to us, and the dragon blood plants here belong to us as well. Yen Fengfeng turned her head and looked at the plants near the dragon bones, then said seriously, "But before we split the plants, I would like to state the rules. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. If a team wants to exist, then it has to be fair. What is fair? It is very simple. It will be split according to how much effort you put in. If you put in more effort, you will get more, and if you put in less effort, then you will get less. If we split it evenly, then it would be the biggest unfair. The longevity fruit was an exception. Sometimes we can talk about friendship, but of course it is only occasionally. Looking over at Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin, Yan Fengfeng continued, "You two have put in the least effort. Therefore, you two can only get 20% of the total." "Head sister, I am fine with it." "Me too." Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin knew that they had put in the least effort, so it would be great if they could get 10% each. If it were the other teams, they would not even get 10%. As for the remaining 80%, I will get 20%. Yan Fengfeng, you and Yi Chen will get 30% each. Hai Wuya took the initiative to suggest the battle between Yi Chen and Ao Wubai, letting him know that Yi Chen had already surpassed him, and was not that much weaker than Yan Fengfeng. Compared to Yan Fengfeng, Yi Chen still had a couple of advantages, such as his powerful destruction sword intent, horrifying reaction, and observation. Just these two alone would be enough to make a big difference. For example, the wind spirit in the wind could not be threatened at all because of Yi Chen's existence. After saying that, Hai Wuya was a bit emotional. It had only been a while, and Yi Chen had already surpassed him. "Brother Hai?" Yan Fengfeng and Yi Chen looked at him. Yan Fengfeng actually wanted the three of them to split the 80%, since it was the first time after all, so there was no need to split it so clearly. Hai Wuya laughed, "Don't say any more. I know what I am doing. But, next time, I will fight for the distribution with my own power." "Since that's the case, then so be it. Junior brother Yi, you don't have any objections, right?" Xianhou thought more highly of Yi Chen, and Yan Fengfeng had been calling Yi Chen as her brother-disciple. And this brother-disciple of hers was indeed a bit exaggerated. She had to admit that if it were a battle of life and death, although she had more than 50% chance of winning, there was still a chance that she would be beaten by him. So, it would be reasonable for them to get 30% each. Yi Chen shook his head. After deciding on the distribution ratio, the next step was easy. Everyone split up to pick the dragon blood grass. Everyone hoped that there would be more dragon blood grass. "I have 6 here." "I also have 6. 9. 8. Gathering all the plants together, Yan Fengfeng forced a smile. 29 plants in total. One more would be great. 30 stalks of dragon blood grass was a round number, and it was the easiest to distribute. "How about this, junior brother Ling and Guan Qin will each get 3. Brother Hai, you get 6. Junior brother Yi, you get 9. I'll take 8. Yan Fengfeng had lost 1. "Sister Yan, this is my first time here, so I will take 8 and you take 9. Yi Chen took the 8 plants and put them into his storage ring. Hai Wuya chuckled. Yi Chen was more like him. Yan Fengfeng also had a better impression of Yi Chen. There were indeed a lot of dragon blood plants, but it was not something that normal people could just give up on. But this was good as well. Everyone could live in peace, and there should not be any conflicts in the future. Next is the dragon bone jade marrow. The 5 lifted up their heads and looked at that massive dragon skeleton. After Sea of Souls realm warriors died, there would be a chance for spirit power crystal stones to appear in their bones. After Life and Death realm warriors died, spirit power crystal stones would appear in their bodies as well. But of course, the quality would be way higher than Sea of Souls realm warriors. After the dragons died, their bones would form the dragon bone jade marrow. But, after all these years, no one knew if the dragon bone jade marrow in this dragon skeleton had turned into fossils or not. Break. Yan Fengfeng threw out a palm attack toward the dragon skeleton. The dragon skeleton was no longer as tough as before. The only reason it could maintain its shape was because of the remnant dragon will. However, there was not much of it left. After the intense battle just now, most of it had already fallen apart. At this moment, Yan Fengfeng's palm slapped over, shattering the skeleton into pieces. The broken pieces of the dragon bones were all over the ground. On top of it there was a pile of light with a blue halo, which was about the size of an egg. It is the dragon bone jade marrow. I did not expect it to still be here. It did not turn into a fossil. One dragon bone jade marrow. How should we split it? The dragon bone jade marrow was way more valuable than the dragon blood plants, so no one wanted to give it up. Yi Chen said, "Let's see what we can do. Everyone, please don't kill it." Yan Fengfeng nodded. "We will not fight for it." Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin forced a smile, knowing that they would not be able to win against the three of them. Shoo! Yan Fengfeng turned into a blue flame and shot out. Yi Chen was not slow either. 5 beams of sword light appeared around his body, flashing once as he followed right behind Yan Fengfeng. Meanwhile, Hai Weia performed his sky-ocean godly palm art, affecting the balance between Yan Fengfeng and Yi Chen. Then, he reached out his hand, trying to grab the dragon bone jade marrow. The three were fighting against each other, and the chi flow spread out. Not good. What is going on? Such a powerful willpower attack. Hai Weia's face turned pale as he was blown away. It is this dragon bone jade marrow. Yan Fengfeng frowned, stopping her body. Only Yi Chen was not afraid at all. He flew right next to the dragon bone jade marrow, reaching out his hand and sucking it over. It was a blue gem-like crystal stone, shining with a pure blue halo without any impurities. Grabbing it in his hand, Yi Chen could sense a powerful willpower spreading out, along with waves of energy vibration. "Brother Yi, congratulations! I did not expect this dragon bone jade marrow to contain such a powerful dragon willpower. Only you would be able to compete with it." Since he could not get it, Hai Weia decided to let it go. Yan Fengfeng laughed. "Losing a dragon blood plant and getting a dragon bone jade marrow. It seems like the world is fair after all." The fact that the dragon bone jade marrow contained the willpower of the dragon was something that Yi Chen had not expected. Thinking about it, the reason why the dragon skeleton was still standing was because of the dragon bone jade marrow. After playing with the dragon bone jade marrow for a while, Yi Chen flipped his palm and put it away. He chuckled, "Sorry, this dragon bone jade marrow is destined to be mine. With the dragon bone jade marrow, your defense would be at the top of the warriors at the same level. It would not be a weakness anymore. Sword artists usually had a weaker defense, and that was an undeniable fact. Let's go. Let's see if there are any other treasures." The dragon cave was huge, and they had only explored a small part of it. The first place to search was the crazy wind area. With Yi Chen there, the wind spirits inside would not be able to do anything to them. Soon, all 5 of them obtained some upper-rank wind essence stones. Wind essence stones were similar in value to fire cloud gems, and upper-rank wind essence stones were even rarer. Only when the wind elemental energy was extremely rich, and after thousands of years of blowing, could they be formed in the mountain rocks. After a whole day, the 5 of them had searched every corner of the cave and gotten a lot of treasures. They did not leave the cave until the morning of the second day. In the following days, the 5 continued to explore other places. For them, this once-a-year opportunity was very precious, since it was a big era right now. If one did not improve, others would. If one did not improve, one would fall behind. If they did not want to be eliminated, they would have to try their best to improve themselves. During this period of time, Yi Chen had finally stabilized his mid-sea of souls realm cultivation. He started to eat earth spirit pellets and sky spirit pellets to accumulate Jin Yuan. Earth spirit pellets were rare pellets, and they had great effect. The sky spirit pellets were 3 times more effective than the earth spirit pellet. In just 1 week, Yi Chen had reached peak level Mid-Sea of Souls realm from Mid-Sea of Souls realm, and his Zhen Yuan had thickened by 20%. It is time to leave. At the end of the moon, the evil qi in the air was getting thicker and thicker. One could even see it with their naked eyes, and it seemed to be corrosive as well. We have gained enough. With all these resources, it would be hard for us not to improve. Next time we meet, I hope everyone can improve as well." The 5 got on the flying ship and flew back the way they came. In front of the barrier, boom! Yen Feng Feng tore apart the barrier with one claw attack, and the flying ship shot out. So many people. What is going on? Once they got out, the 5 saw hundreds of people gathered on the flat ground not far away. Among them, the weakest ones were spirit warriors, and there were a lot of master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors as well. After all, this was the month where the evil Qi was the weakest in the whole year, so a lot of people had made their way here. Since it was the last day of the month, everyone started to leave the place. "Look, it is Tai Shichong. Someone is looking for trouble with him," Ling Tianhao said with a low voice. "Let's go and have a look." Riding the flying ship, the 5 arrived above the crowd. There were a lot of people standing in the air, all of whom were master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. "Tai Shichong, you hurt my cousin, so you should know what the consequences will be." Standing in front of Tai Shichong was a young man who was about the same age as Yi Chen. He was wearing a long silver robe, and there was a long and narrow great blade on his waist. His fingers were long and powerful, and his finger bones were slightly protruding out. Although it was Tai Shichong, one of the top 3 young sword masters, judging from his attitude, he did not think much of him at all. "It is Duguju. I did not expect Duguju to find Tai Shichong this fast. Dugu Ming is here as well." Hai Wuyao was attracted immediately. He really wanted to know who was more powerful between Duguju and Tai Shichong, since it had been a long time since Duguju had fought. Tai Shichong sneered, "Consequences? I am afraid you do not have the power to make me take the consequences. Once I take out my blade, there will be blood. Today, I will use your blood as a sacrifice for my blade." Duguju's expression was cold, without any expression. "Brother Taisher, teach him a lesson." On the side, Li Feng and Li Lei, who had not fully recovered from their wounds, sneered as they looked at Duguju. A martial genius who had only reached the Sea of Souls realm for a year wanted to challenge Tai Shichong, who had been famous for many years and was one of the top 3 young sword masters. "Cousin, he left a sword mark on my chest. You should leave one on his chest as well," Dugu Ming said viciously. Duguju looked at Tai Shichong as his body shot up into the sky. "Don't worry, I will leave something for him to remember. Tai Shichong, come up and fight," Dugu Ming yelled. Chapter 598. Duguju's attitude had pissed Tai Shichong off. His expression turned colder and colder as he shot into the sky, staying 100 steps away from Duguju. "Duguju, perhaps you have not lost a single battle in the young generation, but today you will lose for sure. Arrogance will come with a price. Perhaps I will lose, but you do not have what it takes to make me lose. Only those with more potential than me can beat me. You are not qualified yet." Duguju was just like Yi Chen, having never lost a single battle in the young generation. Even Dantai Mingyue, who was just as famous as him, could only fight him to a draw. He had an invincible heart. Although his power was not invincible, his heart was already invincible. "The more confidence you have, the harder I will make you fall." Tai Shichong stared at Duguju with his sharp eyes. On the ground and in the sky, hundreds of warriors could sense the battle intent and killing intent of the two. One of them was one of the top 3 sword masters, who had been famous for a long time. Among the young sword artists, he was only weaker than the head of the top 3 sword masters. The other was one of the top 2 martial geniuses of the Sky martial region, Duguju, who had never lost a single battle in the young generation. He was extremely talented, and he was a blade artist as well. Right then, it was the battle between Tai Shichong and Duguju. It was also a battle between a sword artist and a blade artist. Everyone held their breath. Although Duguju had not reached the Sea of Souls realm for long, he is still a monster after all. No one would dare to say that he would lose for sure. Hai Wuya mumbled to himself before glancing at Yi Chen. Yi Chen was also one of the top martial geniuses. Who will win or lose will depend on their achievements in the sword art or blade art. Yi Chen could tell that Duguju was already at mid-sea of Soul's realm, and he had probably run into some special things in the past year. Of course, it might also be resources from the family, since a rank 5 family would be able to get some rare resources for one person. Duguju, take this. Tai Shichong did not take out his sword. Instead, he jumped out and put his right index and middle fingers together, pointing out a sword finger at Duguju's forehead. It was indeed the sword of heaven and earth. Chi. A huge sword shadow extended out. Tai Shichong, take out your sword. Duguju unsheathed his long saber and swung it down. The pale white light of the saber shone upon everyone's heart. An ear-piercing exploding sound was heard, shaking the entire space. That pale white blade light had actually sliced open the sword shadow, bringing with it a despairing power as it attacked toward Tai Shichong. Tai Shichong's expression changed as he hurried to pull out his longsword, blocking in front of his chest. Clang! Tai Shichong was blown away. Who? Taking a deep breath, Duguju's eyes turned even colder. This kind of coldness was not the coldness of an iceberg, but the coldness that made people despair. He gripped the saber with both hands, his knuckles protruding as he slashed down again. The deathly white saber radiance caused the heaven and earth to turn white. Those who were facing the edge of the saber felt a wave of discomfort and pressure. Mountain sword. Duguju's power had shocked Tai Shichong, so he performed his ace attack immediately. That mountain-like sword shadow was like a shield, locking down the whole place. Crack! Duguju's saber light was like a hot knife through butter, shattering Tai Shichong's sword shadow. How could he be so powerful? And this despairing power? Right then, Tai Shichong had already considered Duguju as the biggest enemy of his life. The only thought in his mind was that he could not lose. A sword artist's willpower was extremely strong, so Tai Shichong soon cut away all the distracting thoughts in his mind and focused on the battle. He had thrown away all the honor and glory, only wanting to fight with Duguju with his life. Unknowingly, his sword aura had become even more powerful, and his condition had broken through his limit. How could this Duguju be so powerful? Even Tai Shichong could not do anything to him, and even seemed to be at a disadvantage. A lot of people had their eyes wide open. Yi Chen frowned, seeming to be thinking about something. Clang! 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 The sky was filled with the saber light and sword shadows. The battle between the two was like a tsunami. Water sword, heartless wave. His human figure rose into the sky as Tai Shichong held his sword with both of his hands and waved it out. That powerful sword power was endless like water. The ocean will dry up and the stone will rot. What we will face is only despair. Duguju waved out a pale white blade light. Wherever the blade light went, the mountain rocks were cracked open and turned into dust. Tai Shichong's sword power had also been used up soon, and its power had been greatly reduced. However, his face was reflected in the blade light, and there was a rare panic on his face. The saber light spread out, and Tai Shichong puked out a mouthful of blood before being blown away. Tai Shichong is not an opponent for Duguju at all. It seems like it is wrong of us to judge monsters with our eyes. Hai Wuya sighed. A lot of people thought that Duguju and Dantai Mingwei had only reached the Sea of Soul's realm for a year, and they would need a couple of years to accumulate their power. But Duguju had told them that within a year, he would be able to surpass a sword martial genius like Tai Shichong as well. It would not make sense to judge the martial geniuses with normal eyes. Since they were martial geniuses, they would be able to do things that normal people could not do. Yan Fengfeng said, Duguju's saber art is a bit strange. It is indeed strange. It seems to be able to attack one's heart. Hai Wuya had the same feeling. Yi Chen did not say anything, all of his attention was on Duguju. Tai Shichong, You have disappointed me so much. I thought I could have a real battle, but you do not even have the right to make me use all of my power. Duguju's cold voice was heard toward Tai Shirchong. His eyes turned red all of a sudden as Tai Shirchong stood on top of a broken mountain. The sword chi on his body shot out into the sky, and his sword intent was actually increasing. It kept increasing until it reached peak level rank 4, which was only one step away from rank 5. Right then, his spirit, chi, and soul had all been infused into his sword aura, aiming at Duguju from afar. Alright. I did not expect you to be able to make a breakthrough at this moment. No wonder you are one of the top 3 young sword masters. Duguju laughed, which was rare for him. Duguju, the moment I make a breakthrough will be the moment you lose. Take this. Shattering the mountain with one foot, Tai Shirchong waved out a sword attack in the air. That circular sword power spread out like a tide, covering the entire sky. With the enhancement of his peak level rank 4 sword intent, this attack seemed to be even more complete. You making a breakthrough is a good thing for me. Only by defeating powerful warriors will it be meaningful. Duguju waved his blade at the incoming attack. The blade and sword clashed with each other, bringing up sparks everywhere. The two fought from the east to the west, from the west to the north, from the sky to the ground. It was easy to tell that the two were on par, and Duguju was not able to suppress his opponent right away. I did not expect this Tai Shirchong to make a breakthrough. Down below, Dugu Ming frowned. Brother Ming, don't worry. Your cousin has never lost before in a situation where the power is the same. A couple of people next to Dugu Ming said. Yes, cousin will not lose. Dugu Ming's eyes brightened. This blade intent? Yi Chun gradually had an idea, and he seemed to be in deep thought. Above the lake, the battle between Duguju and Tai Shirchong had messed up the lake water. Some of the beasts hiding at the bottom of the lake had been sliced into pieces by the blade light and sword light. Tai Shirchong, you are now qualified enough for me to use my most powerful ace attack. Duguju's power was only slightly higher than Tai Shirchong's, and now that Tai Shirchong had made a breakthrough, the two were on par with each other. Without using his most powerful ace attack, he would not be able to beat his opponent. Tai Shirchong's eyebrows were like swords as that powerful sword intent made his clothes flutter in the air, and even the space around him became blurry. Duguju, I still have to thank you for bringing my sword intent to the next level. The improvement of my sword intent had also made me understand the things that I could not understand before. Now you will taste the consequences that you have brought upon yourself. Tai Shirchong yelled with a low voice as his face turned red. That powerful sword intent continued to roll around as if it had a mind of its own. His body shot out at a fast speed as he shook his wrist. That long sword was like an angry dragon, letting out a sky-piercing sword cry. Under my most powerful ace attack, you will only have despair. Duguju welcomed the incoming attack without any emotion. He held his blade with both of his hands and dragged it on the ground, splitting the lake water in half. Boom! Before the two clashed together, the lake water had already split into two sides, eventually rushing onto the shore and drowning a huge area of land. Thousands of meters deep mud was exposed. Flood! Tai Shirchong's longsword that was like an angry dragon suddenly changed. The angry dragon brought up a huge wave, sweeping across the world. That ruthless sword power all rushed toward Duguju. Desperation blade. At the last moment, Duguju waved out his long blade. That pale white blade light turned into a white rainbow that pierced through the sky. All of the living beings were on it, their faces filled with despair. Indeed, it is the desperation element, the desperation blade intent. That sharp white rainbow had confirmed Yi Chen's guess. After waving out that sword attack, Tai Shirchong was in a good condition. However, that blade attack from Duguju had made him fall to the bottom. His face was filled with despair, and there was only despair in his heart as well. I am going to die. This blade attack will kill me. No matter how I try to block it, I will die. Since it is useless to block it, then why should I block it? No. Tai Shichong screamed as he bit his tongue tip and threw his long sword onto that pale white blade light. Chin. The two passed by each other. The lake water poured down, drenching Tai Shichong. Swoosh. A huge amount of blood poured out of Tai Shichong's chest. That blade attack from Duguju had gone through the long sword and wounded him. Right then, he felt like all of his internal organs had been twisted into a ball. This blade attack. Why did it make me feel despair? I am a sword artist, and a sword artist's will should not be affected by anything, not to mention when the power level is the same. Tai Shichong's face was pale, and he looked like he had lost his soul. To be able to survive my desperation blade attack, you should be proud enough. Blood leaked out from the corner of Duguju's mouth. That last sword attack from Tai Shichong had wounded him as well. Of course, it was not as severe as Tai Shichong's. It was only a light wound. Everyone who was watching the battle did not speak for a long time. Hai Wuya came back to his senses and looked at Yi Chen. Brother Yi, what did you mean by the desperation blade intent? Yi Chen said, my sword intent has the destruction element, while his blade intent has the desperation element. Naturally, it is called the desperation blade intent. The desperation blade intent combined with the unique blade movement can make the opponent feel despair, and when that happens, they might die. The destruction element was different from the desperation element. Desperation was a human emotion, and it could affect the opponent's mentality. However, the destruction element was not an emotion, so it could not do that. Chapter 599. Tai Shichong has lost. Duguju is indeed one of the top 2 martial geniuses. No matter what level he is at, he would not be weaker than anyone else. Right now, even Tai Shichong, one of the top 3 young sword masters, had lost to him. Brotherly, you are wrong. He is not one of the top 2 martial geniuses, but one of the top 3. Did you not hear about it? A couple of months ago, there was a guy named Yi Chen who had left his name on the Sky Martial Pavilion's wall. Although he was ranked 3rd, but just like the 1st and 2nd, he had also made it through 7 levels. Perhaps he is older than Duguju and Dantai Mingyue. Although age does not have much to do with talent, it would still affect him a bit. No, you are wrong again. Yi Chen's identity has already been investigated. He comes from a rank 7 martial school in the South Rudra region, and is highly valued by the Dragon King. Plus, he is not only not older than Duguju and Dantai Mingyue, he is actually 2 years younger than them. What? Is that so? Doesn't that mean that when he reached the Sea of Souls realm, he was even younger than Xianhou? Indeed. Calling him a martial genius would not be an exaggeration at all. Everyone who was watching started to discuss. Brother Yi, they are talking about you. Hai Wuya laughed. Yi Chen said lightly, these are all fake titles. Being famous does not mean that people would be afraid of you. On the contrary, if you do not perform well, your reputation would plummet immediately. You are right. Fake titles are also a kind of pressure. So many martial geniuses have been dragged down by fake titles and ended up with nothing. Yen Fengfeng said, this Duguju is a blade artist. Perhaps it will not be long before he challenges Xiao Chuhe, one of the top 5 young warriors. After Xiao Chuhe had beaten Xin Qianlang, one of the top 3 master-level blade artists, he had become one of the new top 3 master-level blade artists. His reputation was way higher than Tai Shichong, who was one of the top young sword masters. Only the head of the top young sword masters could compete with him. It is indeed very powerful. The despairing blade intent should be at rank 4, and its power is at rank 5 normal blade intent. His despairing blade attack is also close to the mid-rank profound sense blade art. Also, rumor has it that Duguju has the dark spirit body, and he has trained the dark Jin Yuan, which is way more powerful than the normal Jin Yuan. The rank 5 blade intent was a bit weaker than Yi Chen's. His despairing blade attack could be considered a top martial art, but it would not be able to suppress Yi Chen. It was almost the same as Yi Chen's most powerful attack. The dark spirit body was a bit troublesome, since it was a rare body type. It was similar to Jing Aoxuan's thunder spirit body, and the dark Jin Yuan that he had trained would be more powerful than Yi Chen's Jin Yuan. Yi Chen did not have the confidence to beat Tai Shichong. But of course, the chance of him losing was not that big either, only 50%. After this battle, Yi Chen had also seen Tai Shichong's real power clearly. To be honest, Yi Chen had more than 60% confidence that he could beat Tai Shichong. His cultivation had increased a lot during this period of time, from peak level early Sea of Soul's realm to peak level mid Sea of Soul's realm. It was not a small improvement, since a warrior's power was basically divided into 3 parts: the cultivation, the willpower, and the profound sense. Before, Yi Chen's only advantage was the willpower, but now that his cultivation had caught up, he was only lacking the profound sense. But the sword intent was more than enough to make up for it. Therefore, the increase in his cultivation had brought his battling power to a whole new level. However, he estimated that he would still be slightly weaker than Yan Fengfeng. Up until now, Yi Chen had not seen Yan Fengfeng reveal her full battling power. Adding her insane speed, Yi Chen thought that she would be one of the top warriors just below the top 5 young warriors. It was just that she had always been low-key, and would not take the initiative to challenge others. But of course, if others came to her, she would definitely kill them. Hai Wuya sighed, the big era is coming, and no one wants to be left behind. The top 3 martial geniuses, endless top martial geniuses. This era would be even more intense than the previous ones. Wanting to go against the current would not be something that normal people could do. After beating Tai Shichong, Duguju's eyes suddenly looked in Yi Chen's direction, eventually locking onto Yi Chen's body. The one who revealed his rank 5 sword intent before should be him. When Duguju and Tai Shichong were battling, Yi Chen could not help but let out a bit of his sword intent. Those with will power below rank 5 would not be able to sense it at all. However, Duguju's blade intent was at rank 5, so he was able to sense it. That bit of sword intent made Duguju feel threatened, since Dantai Mingwe seemed to be the only one who had reached rank 5 will power among the young generation. Why is he looking at Yi Chen? Hai Wuya looked confused. Duguju looked at Yi Chen from afar. I am Duguju. What is your name? Yi Chen. Yi Chen said lightly. What? He is Yi Chen? He is indeed so young. Everyone looked at Yi Chen together. Hearing him, a black light shot out from Duguju's eyes. You are Yi Chen? The news of Yi Chen passing 7 levels on the Wall of Fame in the Sky Martial Pavilion and being on par with him and Dantai Mingwe had already spread out, and he had only heard about it recently. Alright, Dantai Mingwe and I have been fighting for so many years, and finally, a new opponent has appeared. I hope you will not fall that fast. As you wish. Duguju smiled. Yi Chen's attitude was very calm, but he could feel that kind of strong confidence. All of a sudden, his expression turned cold, and there seemed to be a blade light shooting out from his eyes. The pale white illusory blade light split the sky and the earth, and the shadows of all living beings appeared on it. Yi Chen's expression did not change. The light in the depths of his eyes suddenly turned dark red, and the dark red illusory sword light shot out with a will that would kill anyone who stood in its way, and kill Buddha who stood in its way. In just one exchange, the shadows of all living beings on the white illusory blade light disappeared. In front of this sword intent that could slaughter the entire world, all living beings' despair was inevitable. Slaughter brought death, and how could the despair before death not exist? Pop! The blade intent and the sword intent clashed together, and a wave of willpower mixed with despair and slaughter spread out in all directions. Many people's faces turned pale, and they felt like their heads were about to explode. Slaughter's sword intent. No wonder it is not afraid of my despair blade intent, and is even slightly stronger. Duguju frowned. The despair blade intent could affect the opponent's emotions, making them feel despair and wait for death. However, there were also people who could not be affected, such as those who had the slaughter sword intent. Of course, because of the different elements, the slaughter sword intent could not suppress the despair blade intent. You are qualified to be on the same level as me and Dantai Mingwe. However, a real battle would be way more intense than the one just now. A lot of people had ignored the details, and it was the details that would decide the outcome of the battle. Duguju was wounded, otherwise, he might have had a huge battle with Yi Chen. In a real battle, apart from the three basic aspects, which were cultivation, willpower, and profound, there were also all kinds of talents, such as the body type. These were all major aspects. However, when most of the aspects were about the same, it would depend on the details, such as battling experience, battling skills, the awareness of death, and the potential to fight back. It could be said that it was very complicated to judge a person's power, especially for geniuses. As for those mediocre people and normal people, they would be judged by the three basic aspects. Yi Chen smiled lightly. Unfortunately, I am the kind of person who pays attention to details. I will remember your name. One day in the future, you and I will have to fight again. After saying that, Duguju turned around and left. Dugu Ming and the others followed behind him. Hai Wia looked at Duguju's back and said to Yi Chen, "It seems like he values you a lot, and is not as arrogant as before." Yi Chen sighed, very scary. He is one of the scariest people I have ever seen in my life. Yi Chen was not afraid of people who were powerful or talented, but he was afraid of people who were strong in all aspects, had a strong mind, and paid attention to details. It could be said that Duguju was a person who had almost no weaknesses. If he wanted to defeat him, he would have to fight fair and square. However, Yi Chen was indeed a little excited. The value of a person's existence was not in the gains, but in the challenges. Let's go. The battle had already ended, so there was no need to stay. Shoo! The flying ship broke through the sky and flew away. Flying Feather City, a medium-sized city in the Sky Martial region. Inside a manor, Yi Chen was practicing his martial arts on the massive training ground. This manor was rented. Because of the high mobility of warriors, some of the cities with special geographical locations were always full of restaurants. Some of the powerful warriors did not want to live in restaurants at all, preferring to live in manors or luxurious courtyards. But, once they left, they would have to sell the manors right away, which was quite troublesome. Therefore, renting a manor was born. Renting would definitely be cheaper than buying one, but after a long time, renting would still be more profitable. After separating from Yen Feng Feng and the rest, Yi Chen came to the nearby Flying Feather City. He planned to stay here for a while to digest some of the enlightenment he had gained from his breakthrough. On the training ground, Yi Chen had sunk into an empty state, practicing his martial arts with weird postures. It was not a normal martial art, it was just a series of movements without any restrictions. As Yi Chen practiced each movement, a golden light appeared on Yi Chen's body. He threw out a punch, which also contained the sharpness of gold. His finger poked out, making a swishing sound, but he did not use any Zhen Yuan or willpower at all. After reaching the Sea of Soul's realm, each breakthrough would bring me a new enlightenment. I did not expect that after reaching the mid-Sea of Soul's realm, the first enlightenment would be the Gold Profound. The Sea of Soul's realm was no longer a normal human being. It was somewhere between a normal human being and a celestial being. Therefore, once one's cultivation made a breakthrough, there would be a split second of being one with nature, and the enlightenment of the profound would reach an unimaginable level. When he had just reached the mid-Sea of Soul's realm, Yi Chen's gold resonant radiance sword art had already reached 110%. Shoo! Shoo! Each of Yi Chen's movements had a golden light flowing around his body. It was a phenomenon that could only happen when the gold profound had reached an extremely high level. Gold resonant radiance sword art. Putting up his right hand's index and middle fingers, Yi Chen used his finger as a sword and sliced through the air. Boom! A bright gold light wave shot out, its edge having a sawtooth shape. Only a loud sound was heard as a huge crack appeared on the training ground. The crack was thin on both ends and thick in the middle, looking like a shuttle. It was quite different from the normal gold resonant radiance sword art. 130%. I have almost reached my limit. After learning the profound, even if one did not use his Zhen Yuan or willpower, the profound would still absorb the natural Yuan Qi. Performing the gold profound would absorb the natural Yuan Qi, which was quite powerful. Therefore, even if Yi Chen had lost all of his Zhen Yuan and willpower, he would still be at the same level as a clasping Yuan realm warrior. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen stopped moving. After 3 days, I have finally digested all of my enlightenment and turned it into the real gold profound. Now, I can train the dragon blood plants and the dragon bone jade marrow. Yi Chen had gotten 8 dragon blood plants and 1 dragon bone jade marrow. 8 dragon blood plants would allow him to train 8 beams of dragon power, and 1 dragon bone jade marrow would be able to train at least 3 to 4 beams of dragon power, which would be dozens of beams of dragon power in total. Chapter 600. 1 strand of dragon power can increase 50,000 pounds of chi power. Adding my original dragon power, it should add up to 250,000 pounds of chi power. Inside the manor's secret chamber, Yi Chen was sitting on the stone platform, refining the dragon blood plant. Back in the Treasure River Island, when he had refined the plant and obtained the first strand of dragon power, it had devoured Yi Chen's original chi power, increasing it to 200,000 pounds. After all, his original chi power was around 150,000 pounds. Now that he had refined the second strand of dragon power, he did not have enough chi power for it to devour. Therefore, it could only increase by 50,000 pounds, which would add up to 250,000 pounds. No, 1 strand of dragon power could increase 50,000 pounds. If I had enough dragon blood plant, wouldn't I be able to increase my chi power to 1 million pounds? Something is not right. The human body should have its own limit, and should not be able to increase it endlessly. With that thought in mind, Yi Chen became a bit more cautious. The dragon power refined from the dragon blood plant is just pure chi power, without any other support. The dragon bone jade marrow could not only refine the dragon power, but also form a dragon bone defensive layer on the surface of one's skin, adding another defensive effect. Alright, I will not refine the dragon blood plant for now. Let's refine the dragon bone jade marrow first. The dragon bone jade marrow was not meant to be swallowed, it only needed to be extracted. Placing both of his hands on his dantian, Yi Chen held onto the dragon bone jade marrow and slowly activated his Zhen Yuan, extracting the energy inside. The energy contained in the dragon bone jade marrow was several times more than that of the dragon blood plant. It was like a torrential river, pouring into Yi Chen's body through his meridians. Vaguely, one could even hear a splashing sound. What a rich energy! Yi Chen took a deep breath, increasing the speed of refining the dragon bone jade marrow's energy. After an unknown amount of time, a thick layer of blue light appeared on Yi Chen's body. The blue light was like a halo, crystal clear and pure. Not good. My chi power has reached 300,000 pounds, and it cannot be increased anymore. Could it be that this is the limit of my body? But the energy of the dragon bone jade marrow is all in my body, and I have only refined 20 to 30% of it. The rest is going to be wasted. The value of the dragon bone jade marrow was simply too great. He had only refined 20 to 30% of its energy, wasting 70 to 80%. This was undoubtedly a waste of heavenly treasures. If word got out, he would be cursed by others. Focusing his mind, Yi Chen continued to refine energy, wanting to break through his limit. 2 hours. 4 hours. After a full 6 hours, Yi Chen's strength had been stuck at around 300,000 genes, unable to increase any further. The dragon bone jade essence was like boiling water, endlessly churning within Yi Chen's body. If he did not refine the dragon bone jade essence in time, then it was very likely that Yi Chen's body would explode, or it would break through the Zhen Yuan seal and disappear from the world. Another 4 hours passed, and it was already the middle of the night outside. Break through! Crackle! A series of popping sounds rang out as a ring of formless and terrifying qi spread out from Yi Chen's body, stirring up circles of ripples. At the same time, the surface of Yi Chen's skin glowed with a resplendent greenish-red crystal light. Even his hair, facial features, and clothes were dyed with a greenish-red color, making him look like a greenish-red jade sculpture. Rank 3 Spirit Body. Done. The rank of the spirit body represented one's physical strength, and had little to do with the strength. Therefore, when Yi Chen's spirit body had increased from rank 2 to rank 3, his physical strength had increased drastically, allowing him to have more strength. It was like how a normal great sword could only handle the Zhen Qi of a clasping Yuan realm warrior. If an astral-reaching realm warrior continued to use a normal great sword, then the normal great sword would break into pieces. Now that Yi Chen's spirit body had reached rank 3, its strength had increased tremendously, allowing him to have more dragon power without worrying about not being able to handle it. With a breakthrough, the remaining dragon bone jade essence energy had all been refined into dragon power, merging with Yi Chen's cells and bones. Deep inside his body, it had become Yi Chen's own strength. However, the rank 3 spirit body had its limits as well. It could only have 400,000 genes of strength at most. After reaching 400,000 genes of strength, there was only about half of the dragon bone jade essence energy left. In other words, this half could only be wasted, unless Yi Chen could continue to increase the rank of his spirit body. However, it was impossible to continuously increase the rank of his spirit body in such a short period of time. It seems like my body's talent is not much different from normal martial geniuses. Before attaining the spirit body, my body's limit was around 100,000 genes. Rank 1 spirit body's limit was 200,000 genes, rank 2 300,000 genes, and rank 3 400,000 genes. This is the standard for most people. If it were Chu Zhongtian, then it would be horrifying. When he was still an astral-reaching realm warrior, his body's strength was equivalent to a rank 2 spirit body, or even a peak rank 2 spirit body. It was said that people were extremely talented, but obviously Yi Chen was not that talented. His body's talent was only normal, and not some special body. Let's try the dragon bone defensive layer. Yi Chen did not know what the dragon bone defensive layer was, but he subconsciously tightened his body and activated his dragon power. Crack! Crack! The dragon power seemed to have some kind of bone element. When it reached the surface of Yi Chen's skin, it immediately condensed, forming a thin layer of white bone, which had a faint green-red halo on its surface. Pap! Yi Chen poked his own arm with his finger, making a crisp sound of hard objects colliding. It's even more powerful than the protective Zhen Yuan. But it will consume my dragon power. Standing up, Yi Chen let out a long breath. A faint pressure spread out, forming the shape of an ice flood dragon's dragon aura. There are still 7 dragon blood plants left, which I can't use. Whatever, my main focus is not on strength. As long as I am not weaker than others, it will be fine. I think Yen Fengfeng, Hai Weia, and the others can only refine a little bit of the dragon blood plant. The rest can only be stored and used as my own wealth. When necessary, I can use them to barter. In the following period of time, Yi Chen focused all of his energy on the Amaranthan nature and Sky Thunder Cut. After a month, the Amaranthan nature had finally reached perfection. Once he stabbed out, it was like a small plant sprouting in the spring. It was not eye-catching, but it could grow quickly. The sword power was continuous, using 90% of his power and leaving 10% behind. The remaining 10% could be used as a link, increasing the sword speed continuously. Meanwhile, the Sky Thunder Cut had also reached 110%. The Sky Thunder Cut was a sword move created by Yi Chen himself. In the beginning, it was indeed quite difficult and the progress was slow. But, ever since Yi Chen reached the Sea of Soul Realm, his comprehension of the Sky Thunder Cut had gradually increased. It was like a skyscraper. Comprehending other people's profound martial arts was like laying the foundation for others, while creating one's own profound martial arts was like laying the foundation for oneself. In the beginning, it would waste a lot of time, but as time went on, the benefits of building one's own foundation would start to show. The most important thing was that the things created by oneself were undoubtedly the most suitable for oneself. On this day, Yi Chen had just arrived from the extreme Thai world. Pap! All of a sudden, one of the jade tags in his storage ring shattered. Taking out the jade tag, a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. Murong has finally reached the Sea of Soul Realm and come to the Sky Martial region. This jade tag was the Mother Jade Tag, and Murong Qingqing had a sub-jade tag in her hand. Crushing the sub-jade tag would trigger the Mother Jade Tag, and cause it to shatter on its own. Murong had told me that when she broke through, she would wait for me in the West Ling City of the Sky Martial region. She should be there right now. Leaving the mansion, Yi Chen sat on his flying puppet and flew toward the West Ling City. The West Ling City was a city near the south region of the Sky Martial region. There was a West Ling restaurant in the city, which was one of the two most representative restaurants in the city. It often served famous powerful warriors. On the 5th floor of the restaurant, inside the lobby, a woman in a purple dress with a veil on her face was sitting by the window, enjoying her afternoon tea. The people sitting at the other tables would occasionally look over and glance at her. Such a unique aura. I wonder what she looks like under the veil. Definitely not bad. I wonder who would be lucky enough to see her face. While everyone was talking, two people walked out of the room next door. The one on the left was a handsome young man with green hair, wearing a green leather armor. The one on the right had gray hair, and carried a battle blade on his back. They were indeed Duan Lingya and Lin Ku. I did not expect to see such high-quality goods in this place. Duan Lingya chuckled as he walked toward the woman in purple. "Miss, I am Duan Lingya. May I know your name?" Duan Lingya looked at the woman in purple with a smile on his face. His soul power quietly penetrated her veil, wanting to see her real face. "Sir, you are being too impolite." The woman in purple pushed her soul power, blocking him from looking into her face. Lin Ku said, "Brother Duan wants to make friends with you. I guess this is your first time in the Sky Martial region, and you have not been to the pavilion yet. We can take you there." "No need. My friend will take me there." "Your friend? I would like to meet your friend. I think he would know me. You don't mind if I sit here, right?" Duan Lingya saw that the woman in purple was only at mid-Sea of Soul's realm, so he knew that his friend would not be that powerful. So, he sat down in front of her. The woman frowned as she stood up and said, "Sorry, I have something else to do. I will leave now." "Leaving now?" Duan Lingya was not too happy about it. Lin Ku stood in front of Murong Qingqing. Boom! The woman in purple exchanged a palm attack with Lin Ku, and they were evenly matched. Interesting. Duan Lingya did not care too much about it. Lin Ku was good at blade arts, and the two were only testing each other. Of course, the woman in purple was indeed powerful. "You want to leave?" "Sure, but let me see your face first." All of a sudden, Duan Lingya moved his body. He reached his hand towards the girl's face, trying to take off the black veil. He wanted to see what she looked like. From the outside, he could only see the outline of her face. Everyone around shook their heads, feeling sorry for the woman in purple. This Duan Lingya was a very good man. None of the women he had his eyes on could run away. Obviously, the woman in purple had piqued his curiosity, and he would not give up until he got what he wanted. Shoo! The purple-robed woman was extremely fast. She leaned back and passed through the window like a ghost, arriving outside the West Hill restaurant. Duan Lingya coldly snorted, "None of the women I want can run away from me." Shoo! The temperature in the lobby dropped suddenly as Duan Lingya turned into a cold wind and chased after her.